Hey, Ansu, how you doing?
Hey, are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you now. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good, dude. Good. Going to the weekend. Going for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not doing too well, man. I'm sick. I've been the fever. I've been under the weather. It got me, the fever.
Okay. Yeah. You talking about it on Wednesday?
Yeah, still it still got me, but again, gotta do the show. Hope my colleagues can come in so we can get it going.
Hmm.
Um, but it's good to be back, man. First of all, let's tell us what's going on in the town. Give us an update.
Yeah. It's weekend. Yeah, in Liberia, and so far, back home here, it's just about the International Women Day being celebrated by women back home here in Liberia. It was a major program held today at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex there in Concord where women across from Liberia and also across the world, some international guests that came to grace the occasion here in Liberia, and then now the first lady she served as a keynote speaker, where she spoke encouraging women indeed to participate in uh, major activities, and also promising women that this government, the Boakat and Kun government administration, going to intensify and collaborate with the relevant institutions to support programs which are aimed at enhancing good living standard for women. So she makes such commitment to women who attended the program today as part of the International Women Day celebration. And again, this fire issue I sent to a major every week now is always part of a talking point, major headlines now in Liberia, the issue of fire disasters indeed. I think it was somewhere there in the old road again. The old road community, another community again came across a fire attack again today. So far, I just while going in the city outside, a lot of things are happening across, but we managed to at least, yes, to grab some so we can have it on closing argument here tonight.
Yes, today is the International Women's Day. It's been celebrated all throughout the world. I think they're having programs. It's taking place in Dubai, where um, influential women from all around the world, including our own former president Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is there,
Mhm.
and in Dubai, I think yes, where they having this National Women's Day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and want to celebrate all women around the world, all our mothers, our sisters, our wives, our significant others, and our daughters, all women around the world. We want to celebrate them today and congratulate them um, as they celebrate uh, the the Women's Day, International Women's Day. The day was the focal point of this day is to discuss issues about gender equality, reproductive rights, sexual violence and abuse against women. And so on this day, we want to salute all women the world over for such a great day.
Okay, that's a good. Yeah, and even yeah, we had representative leaving Liberia to the U.S. I think it's another program that to organize in United States. Representative from District 5, most of the county, Cedar, and her team. She'll be also there in the US, and it's going to go up to the 11th of this month as part of the International Women's Day celebration.
Yes, it is called the. It's every year. This conference is held in at the United Nations, CSW 68. It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Committee on the Status of Women. It takes place
Hmm.
on March 11 to 22nd. and yeah, and it will be held in New York at United Nations headquarters. The theme for this
Okay.
year is celebrating the achievement of gender equality and
Mm-hmm.
empowering all women and girls by addressing poverty and strengthening institutions financing with gender perspective. Yeah, so
Okay.
so every year Liberia is represented at that conference. Usually the Ministry of Gender, they they head that conference. They head that delegation from Liberian government. Oh, Lofa, welcome, man.
Thank you, my brother Tomalin. You sound you sound a little bit under the weather.
Yeah, I
I
am.
could tell. I could tell from your voice, but sorry that we should speed the recovery, man.
Yeah.
And so how you doing, boss man?
Thank you, though. Thank you, Lofa. I'm good.
That's good.
Yeah, good
Good. Yeah,
going straight for the weekend. I'm good, though.
I
So what
bet.
you doing?
God money you, eh?
I was waiting
Yeah,
for I was waiting for the
I still
weekend.
go. The Liberia, anywhere, any rescue corner we find, we can go there. Any rescue, yeah,
Yeah.
any
All
rescue
right,
corner we
so
see.
just be careful though. Y'all rescue the corner rescue you. Don't feel bad.
First, it was purple corner, so now and now
Y'all
it's not
rescue
rescue
corner.
corner.
But I mean, it's good to be on here again today, though. A lot of things been happening in Liberia, and I know, Tamlin, your voice is troubling you, so I kind of jump in a little bit here and acknowledge quite a few of our. Unless Ansel wants to do that since he's in the radio, I mean, in the station back when you want to recognize few of our followers who online, that would be great because Tamlin is struggling with his voice, and he got to
Yeah,
moderate tonight. So let's save his voice to try to calm Duke down when Duke start to get on fire, so we can kind of put him back. So let's use that
you
time
see,
to just recognize quite a few of our followers on here.
you see, I do doing his neck. I have to say,
Right,
I'm getting ready.
like he's
Oh,
preparing for some kind of battle. But yeah, a lot of our followers, guys. If you will, please do us a favor, share the video. Nobly Nawo, come on, Antoinette, guys, come on, do us a favor. Brown B. Hannon, Sophie Blamo, Newman Tamba, Christian Roberts, Wisdom Chida, uh, and then we got Jay Saki Conant, Newman Tamba again. Nora Hoax. Nora Hoax is always on here. Nora Hoax is a religious follower of this
okay.
podcast. So Nora
Okay.
Hoax, welcome. Newly Kiki Nowo, welcome. Eugenia GW, I mean, owner of this platform. I can't say a follower. She's the owner of this platform as well. Mana George, Wule A Wule. Welcome, folks. Do us a favor, share the video. We are also live on YouTube. You all know of our YouTube channel. Do us favor as well and do due diligence. Share the YouTube channel so other people can be a part of it as well. For those of you who like to sit in the comfort of your home and follow the podcast on your 60-inch television and enjoy it as though you're watching CNN, do that for us. We appreciate it once you do that.
Yeah.
So that way you can have a better view of Ansu, who's in the studio over there. I know a lot of y'all be trying to zoom in on Ansu, but that way
Yeah.
you can see him better. I know. See, Ansu said, "Yep."
Yeah, Lofa, don't forget today is International Women's Day. So
Yeah, definitely.
man,
Yeah, definitely. And a special holiday. Whatever it was, holiday is just a recognition. But happy International Women's Day to all of you out there. Those of you, if you're a man, you want to celebrate this day. Also, we extend the greetings to you as well. We,
yeah,
we we don't discriminate on this platform. If you're a man, you want to celebrate the International Women's Day. Enjoy yourself. For those of you women who deserve this day, we want to say Happy International Women's Day to you. Keep doing what you're doing and keep being positive influence in your society. There are many ways that you can impact our society as compared to being, the negative and negative every time. But we say thanks to all of you. Happy International Women Day. Thank you for being here and consistently following the platform. My Jenna's son, Titus Masakwe, Nora Hoax. Okay. I told over to you guys, guys. I think I have done my part.
Yes, do come in to talk about International Women's Day a little bit.
Yeah, man. A day set aside to recognize the importance, the role of women in society, and I think this is a great deal because they play a pivotal piece, even the lives of men. You know what to say. If you have a strong woman, it takes you beyond your limits. So, recognizing all of those strong women, women who have stood for justice and accountability in Liberia, women who continue to beat out odds, to become those lead individuals in society. We recognize you today. So. That's what I'm putting it up. Special one out to my people in Riverview, Virginia, Hotel Africa Road. If you're listening, and I want to say to all of you in that area, man, we just appreciate you. Thanks for following the show. And let's continue to, speak on behalf of the Liberian people.
Great, great. Again, as I said, uh, congratulations to all women around the world to this International Women's Day. It's been celebrated throughout the world, recognizing the role women play in our society, in our various in countries. There are a lot of great women around the world today that we salute, pay homage to them, and continue to stand by them as they champion the cause for women issues. But let's, guys, quickly, before we jump to this issue about this as a recovery team, let's talk about this fight. But let me start off with this. Surprisingly, the fire chief that left from here that went to Liberia, they are friends with the president. Information I'm getting is that they are disappointed. They have invested a lot into our Liberian fire service. They even groomed some people like the fire chief, the former fire chief Dixon, and others. They invested a lot in. But then, and they even advised the president that the fire should be apolitical because they want professionals there who understand fire science. But then today, to the surprise of these people, the president had made two appointments. He had removed the fire chief, Dixon, and another, the deputy, guys who have been in the system, who they have grown, and he had put them with some partisan of the Unity Party and others for other parties that supported him. And today is the problem. And the guys are discouraged. They are very disappointed. They are writing the president to tell him that they are going to just keep the hands off and leave Liberia. But Lofa, we'll start with you. In the last couple of weeks, months, we noticed that fires, two, three, four fires happening all over the country. What's going on?
Tomalin, I really wish that we will also do a little round circle to this particular discussion topic, because it's very important that we highlight this thing here. And that's part of the reason why last week, well, not last week, a couple days ago, I came up publicly and apologized to Liberians for having to have, supported Senator Darius DeLon with the expectation that he would know better. It's unfortunate that today we will sit here and complain. If you look around Liberia today, Tomalin, you will see that almost every day there's some kind of fire issue somewhere. All right. And I see people trying to make this seem as though it has something to do with religion. No, it doesn't. Come on, guys. We are not putting in place proper mechanisms to help fight the fire. All right. If we have a active response team, maybe we will not be this far down in the drainage when it comes to the issue of fire. And it's unfortunate that after thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of support, both financial and equipment, that was sent to Liberia, these guys would simply be ignored because of political advantage when Darius DeLon and others will appoint people. Tamlin, you and I know, okay, the reason why any institution will consider you for your job, for any appointment, it would be based on the fact that you will serve as an asset not as a liability to that institution. But when it comes to what we should consider a priority in Liberia, you see the likes of Darius DeLon, who I don't expect to know better. Again, it's because again, if you were to look at it, you ask yourselves questions such as outside of government and hanging out with political figures. What is Darius Dillon profession? What has he done? So I don't expect him to know any better, but in order to be a part of the problem in Liberia. And so it's unfortunate that we have to sit on here every day and hear of, possible loss of lives or properties and all of these things. Active response team, they're not available. I heard today, Tomalin, and I'll close on the note to give Duke the opportunity to speak to it. All right. I heard today that where the fire, the outburst of the fire, the house where the incident took place. Guess what happened? They attempted calling the fire service. They told the folks they never had gasoline in their vehicle, so they were not able to get there. So the people had to try. That's the same reason why I sat here last a week, or actually a couple of days ago, and said, look, the issue of having to build a camera booth as compared to being able to equip your response team shows the lack of understanding and being able to prioritize. The response team is the primary and should be the primary concern. How efficient is that team? Then you equip them with additional technology and other things in order to be able to be successful at the implementation of the jobs. Unfortunately, this is not what it is. Darius Dillon selected his cameraman to go and serve as a fire service director. What does he know about fire service? You see why our institutions continue to fail? Because we are not enabling these people to get adequate work done. We are not enabling them to perform adequately. Thank you.
Yes, Duke, we on the fire issue.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just it continues to be a major issue. Especially with the occurrences, the increase in fire disaster that we continue to see across the country. And I think was a couple of years ago the same fire incident with the Islamic school. That was a major tragedy as well, right? And there needs to be structures put in place for us to address these. And I do agree with Lofa. There needs to be some level of prioritization when it comes to these different sectors to seeing how best we can be able to give them more help. But it is just unfortunate to see this increase. I'm not sure what the government is doing to be able to deal with that. But I was told the other day by somebody who's a close Unity Party partisan. I mean, within the hierarchy that this remain one of the most discussed issues, a present issue amongst Liberians, and even within that circle, that there needs to be a way to be able to address that. And look, the situation involving individuals that have been removed, and maybe the men within that arena been trained, there's been investment put into them. That needs to be looked at. But at the same token, I want to see what the trend of thought is. When it comes to replacing these individuals. Is it based upon qualification? Is it based upon an assessment wherein people believe there's not been much done, in terms of that area? If so, what is being done now to address those lapses that that's occurred in the past? So there's a major issue. I mean, it doesn't need any level of delays. We need some level of urgency applied. We need more investigations to see what really is behind these fires. If it's faulty wiring, if it has to do with buildings, if it has to do with some level of heat, something needs to be done. But at the end of the day, we need some level of urgency attached to it. Hopefully the government of Liberia can do something about it.
Yes, it's serious though, but let's see what happened. Right now, the budget, the fiscal budget is before with the executive branch. We should be watching and see what will be put in for when it get to the legislature for appropriation. See what we appropriate for fire, especially so with the fire incidents happening occurring every day. So we also keep an eye on it to see what will be in the budget. How do we appropriate money for the fire service? It's a shame. Both of you guys know that in America, as long as the fire, in fact, Every office, every school, they have fire drill. They do all this stuff. They have fire extinguisher. I mean, in every homes, everywhere. As soon as you dial 911, in less than 15 minutes, because every city got some fire office, fire station around. You see 4 or 5 fire trucks coming. And I just can't fathom how in our country, our lawmakers, especially that make the appropriation, will see these things happening and cannot even put fire. Because look, I've been watching the fire live. People taking sand, taking water from the bucket. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And people just, I mean, I don't know how to eradicate.
And it's not even safe for people to be close to fire trying to cut it off with sand. You know, that's another thing that's even dangerous, especially in the slum communities. If you have a fire outbreak in these slum communities, it could be a bigger disaster that's pending because those buildings or those zinc areas are
They're
in close
attached.
proximity, right? And that's the danger that awaits, awaits. So hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but I think urgency needs to be applied because it's a serious issue, and it's
But
not political at all. It is about the seriousness, when it comes to not only leadership but how we're protecting, lives and property in the country.
and Duke, in that regards though, this is where I frown and feel very upset when it comes to the 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 urgency of this entire issue. It appears as though it is not being considered much of a priority. In Tomalin alluded to this. Every state, every city, or every county, every city have some kind of fire or team, fire service team. And that's why I spoke about this 2 days ago. I said the response team must be prioritized. Let us equip them. The reason why when we dialed 911, Duke, you have why you have the ambulance on the way, the police will be right there to make sure that they can protect that entire vicinity so that nobody will cross. They put the lines up that those yellow ribbons and say nobody's supposed to get here until the fire service team comes and they can do what they're supposed to do. Is because first the police or responsibility is to protect lives and property. Okay, there you go. Is to protect lives and property. Now, if these things are not happening, you call the police is not showing up, then the fire service will tell you, okay, we don't have gas, we don't have vehicles, or the vehicles are not operational, even though we have water. So the people themselves have to attempt to save lives and property. So at this point, they find themselves in that predicament. It's unfortunate. Look, Tamerlane, I managed almost 40 some more parks in the North Carolina area. I work with several hundreds of firefighters um, and EMS service, law enforcement officers, um, and I hear from them all the time when they are talking about when we engaging these people to train them on not fire service but just some of the technology that they use to their advantage, right? When we because we implement these things, we manage all of the infrastructure, we manage all of the systems, so we provide these services for them, we train them on how to utilize these things. When it start to explain to you why it is important that they are readily available to be on site, you will start to see why Liberians should prioritize this issue right now. Because I spoke to one of the lieutenants on EMS. This dude said to me, he said, "Look, when that bell rings, we are given 30 seconds to be out the gate. 30 seconds, the minute that bell rings, we are giving at least 30 seconds to be on the truck and out the gate because we are taking into consideration the distance from where we are to where we're supposed to be at. And we don't have a communication system in Liberia that connects all of these different agencies, the police, the EMS, and every these institutions are supposed to have a communication system that runs on one channel. That channel, once the call is made, such as what we have today in North Carolina. And I don't want to go deep into the technological aspect of it, but with the DIT, what we have running here is we have a one channel system where when emergency calls place around to all of the call centers in North Carolina, that 911 call is heard. The fire emergency team hears it and all the things. So everyone is rushing to get there on time to do their piece of it. But guess what? The technology put in place enable them to get it done adequately. But they go through all of these training. They may not be the best at it technologically, and that's why the continual process of training them every year or every 3 months, every 6 months, issue when it comes to technology. We go there, we enhance their ability to do things. These things are part of the response process. You can just sit there and say it's not going to happen, man. This is disturbing for a country that have people like Darius DeLaw making over $15,000 a month to have our people dying, and we cannot put in place a structural system that will protect lives and property. It is disturbing.
But you
Go ahead,
see the
dude.
thing, yeah, Lofa, those are great points, and that's why I tell people you can follow any other show on social media. It's fine. One thing about the closing argument that people who have the practical skills and will be able to bring those simple steps and processes and just educate you about how it's done. I love how name more technologies. Even now with your iPhone, there's a crash response feature. If you have an accident in your car, your iPhone drops it automatically alerts every emergency system. Even with your Apple Watch, there, your home cameras and stuff automatically do these. And these things are not additional money that's spent by United States government. It's just leveraging the existing technology, the existing systems that they have, and sinking it into a broader system to be able to get that. But I think there's a way that I want to put this, and it's not political at all, but the level of evolution that we need to see in these areas, I don't think we can achieve that jump by continuing to trust, individuals who were actually raised in this particular system. Because I keep making an argument, all the system knows is just what's available to the system to solve some of these issues, right? It doesn't look outside. It would take something that's vision, something from outside that can embrace some of those changes as well.
Come
Common
on.
example, if you go to the finance ministry and you look out over plus 30 years of the finance ministry, to tell you that people are still using cabinets, for file storage now is just appalling. I spoke to somebody today who's in Liberia, a doctor, by the way. I lived here, went back Liberia about a year ago to start something there. And she was telling me, she said, look, can you imagine even a lot of people are just sitting down at these places and just writing it with a hand quickly when you get a computer and be able to faster move these things and probably just add electronic signature if that particular document does not need a wet signature. But these little things shows how far we are from really addressing some of this issue. But the issue of fire is very important. I told people, if you want to see some level of traction in Liberia, you got to face the healthcare system. You've got to address these the issues with first responders, police, fire emergency, water disaster, emergency first aid. That there's got to be emergency rooms across the country that are fully operational. There needs to be people who have the skill set to be able to address it. All of these things we continue to struggle with, and those are things that can really blow the economy open and be able to allow us to see these type of change. So it is frustrating, man. I mean, we need to immediately find a way to address this. Hopefully, the current administration, they've had enough, and they may begin taking steps to address this issue both in the short term and the long term. But I think, Tomalin, this is something that needs to be focused on, and it has to start now.
Well,
Yeah.
until something happens, great, big happen, maybe that's when people are gonna, our country, our government, our leaders will take it serious. Because until uh, until something happens, really, but some fire outbreak will take place, which we don't wish for it. Uh,
But Tamlin, and that's part of that's part of our problem. We often tend to be more reactive than being proactive. in the case of safety, you must learn to be proactive. In information technology, we see provide the protection and then react if exposed. That's what we do. In system security, we do the thing and the same thing, and that's the reason why we perform health check. Somebody said Lofa is submitting his resume. Let me let me say this, man.
There's no need for those
I'm
comments.
not. I'm not here to. I often I would say let me ignore that, but I'll tell you this: as much as I love my country, Liberia, I have no intention right now to go to Liberia. I am very comfortable doing my little cartoon job, and I can get paid on time. All right. I have no intention to go to Liberia to get job right now. I'm very comfortable because
Financial is too much of a player, man. Nah,
McDonald's is hiring, right? McDonald's is hiring, and there's opportunity for me to get a job. So I'm fine. I'm not submitting a resume. I'm only giving idea as to how we can solve some of the
exactly.
problem. And at a very minimum, we can apply some of these things because I have been opportune to interact with some of these people and from a level where I don't understand these things, the technical aspects of it, they teach me. And when I engage them, they are listening to learn because we have a gap, okay, learning gap. I don't know everything that they do when it comes to law enforcement. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm not an EMS officer. I'm not a ranger. But when I'm dealing with these people, they're listening to me as though I am their superior because of my area of expertise, my profession. And so when they teach me, when we're discussing these things about Liberia, I hope to learn and take note. I have an entire folder that was sent to me by one of the superintendent on this whole issue of fire disaster and other things. And I was reading it today because I was a little busy now that I was trying to steal time off work. But I had opportunity to read a little bit today at the office, and it spoke directly to some of the things, the little things that we having problem with. And this is where I go back to the likes of Darius DeLon. They don't hire you because you're the cousins. They don't bring you in because you ran around on Facebook behind Darius DeLon with camera to bring his live podcast. That is not the reason why they will hire you. If Duke sit in front of any one of those interviewers, they want to know what are you bringing to the table, what's your experience, how are you going to impact that that you're coming to. These are the kind of things, and that's the reason why I frowned at the decision on the part of the UP government to even decide to award people jobs based on their support for them during the campaign. This is why we continue to fail. People are dying almost every day from fire disasters. And you're talking about Lofa sending his resume. They will have to wait for years for me. They will have to wait for years for me to make that decision. Okay. But to be honest with you, Tomalin, we have a long way to go. And all of these little things can be put into place. Technology can help us, but we must start to build the infrastructure. We must start to build the human capacity, and we cannot dwell on just friendship in order for us to get this to happen. We need the architects. We need to bring people on board who understand these things, and then in the capacity to implement adequately, not to simply dwell on this whole campaign rhetorics.
Well, we got three important topics to handle today. But before we jump to this topic, we'll let Robert weigh on the fire situation, the fire issue. But we want to talk about the asset recovery and property retrieval committee that was set up. We want to talk about the general accounting, the general auditing commission audit reports, and vis-a-vis the consolidated accounts. Former Finance Minister Twe, former Finance Minister, now Senator Kone, and former Controller General Jangaku have responded to it already. And lastly, talk about the issue about the CDC being ordered to being evicted from their property. But we'll start with this. Hope we can cover everything. But let's start with the asset recovery. But Robert, weighing on the fire issue before we move on.
Thank you. I was hoping to go home. I had a long day at the office, man. But man, this Buckhead traffic is ridiculous, man. It's that stuff gonna take me 2 hours to get home. So I said, let me just sit in his car and let the traffic slow a little bit. But look, I agree with Lofa, and I don't often agree with Lofa, but I
So can I take Monday off now? Day off for me.
Mhm.
but every time I agree with Lofa, I get a phone call. Oh man, you're not squash your beef now. I say, but I ain't beefing with him, man.
I ain't
But let,
exactly we ain't beefy.
but listen, but listen, I agree with Lofa. Okay, um, the I mean, you can't be reactive to these things. Tomalin, in a serious country, in the 21st century, you've got to have um, emergency management plans in place. Not just for fire, but even for pandemics and epidemics, like the COVID, for instance, right? Uh, like what happened, like what happened at the inauguration. I think the fire chiefs and the experts were on this show, a few weeks ago, talking to us about the fact that they did not have anything in place, right? And this is common sense. This is common sense, right? Because uh, even though Joseph Boakai did not, thank God, nothing worse happened. But other people were affected by the heat exhaustion that day. There was a young man who left his family, went to Liberia, uh, and then the next day at the inauguration, he died. A lot these things can save lives. And so I will hope that, and I'm not sure what's happening with all these fires. I think people need to look at wiring, electric wiring at their homes. It's something my pops and I was talking about the other day at our house out there in Masha, right? Because things are changing now. A lot of these folks are transitioning from generator to LEC. And then you also have some homes that are currently automatically switching from LEC to generator. I mean, Tomalin, have you thought about how dangerous that could possibly be? Can you imagine how, light just goes off and then folks just turn a generator off? In this country, there are backup generators in this country, right? But they're programmed differently. You don't necessarily have to go into a generator room and switch it on. So I mean, we've got to think about all of these things and really put our house in order. I listened to the chief the other day talking about his close proximity to the current president and his close relationship, and that really gave me hope that, I mean, once and for all, we will address this structure and this system. Perhaps this systemic issue that we have across our country, across all sector in our country. But this fire thing is important. It can save lives. We already don't have homes. I mean, think about, just imagine people, the buildings that we already don't have, the homes we already don't have, being burned down, and because we don't have, fire services. We don't have adequate fire services, and so I agree. We don't have to be reactive all the time. You don't have to wait for something terrible to happen. When you said something about, well, maybe when something terrible happened, then the government will act. It reminds me of the senseless gun battle between the Republican and the Democrats in this country. Every time there's a mass shooting, or every time there's a school shooting where thousands of young kids are killed senselessly, then the debate about guns and assault weapons, take front seat, right? And then after a few weeks, everything dies down, right? You've got to act. You can't wait until something terrible happens. You got to act, and I hope that the government act.
So yeah, so hopefully we can address all the topics that are trending, the asset recovery, the GAC audit, and the response already from the two former finance minister and the former controller general, CDC eviction, and the War Economic Crimes Court, the status of the resolution that's in the Senate. But let's start with the asset recovery. Lofa, can you read that press release for us quickly?
Sure. Um, Do you want me to also go through the names or just read the portion of it that was a motion part? Okay, it's a Executive Mansion, Monrovia, following the issuance of Executive Order number 126, establishing the Office of Asset Recovery. President Joseph, hold on, let me put this so I don't be reading like I'm trying to count here. Let me put it this way, right? All right, say the Executive Mansion, Monrovia, following the issuance of Executive Order number 126, establishing the Office of Assets Recovery. President Joseph Numa Boakai Sr. has announced members of the Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Care Team. The, the team is expected to lead the charge to ensure process leading to the allocation, recovery, and retrieval of public resources and properties. Personality named to the core team who are to meticulously follow and implement the executive order are, and the names are mentioned here. There are about 15 of them, and it's signed by Kula Bonan Niaye Fofana, Presidential Press Secretary. That's basically what it is. I mean, the names are on here, but I don't think there's a need to go through the names
Let me open
because
the discussion, then you guys can weigh in. I won't be talking a lot today, but let me say this: it is a good thing. The asset recovery it's very good. If you're a true nationalist or patriot, you love such a thing. But first of all, it's not the first time. President we announced this when he appointed Arthur Johnson and others, and to go after it, to do the same thing. When it started, a lot of noise came about, and then I think and they never went too far. And then also, there were another committee set up headed by one Yanquez Zeze. At the time, they said all the former government officials of the Toba regime, the property that was confiscated, they wanted to know the outcome of it. We never heard from it again. Now, President Bouakai have set up this committee. Here's the thing, though. First of all, I believe my personal opinion is that I thought the president, if he had announced a chairperson, allow the person to select the members. But the first problem I see they're going to face, he appointed members from all over, especially those who supported him during his election. Now, already, I've seen comments from members of the committee. They are not even met yet. They are not even come together to be formally commissioned in office, whatever the case. Some of them already issuing. The first person that jumped, the John president, we are ready. They said, "Oh, we're going to confiscate his property. We'll send it. We'll make doctors live there. All kinds of stuff." So with that kind of a mentality, you always try to witch hunt. You come with a preconceived a motive, and that is the first problem I got. Second thing is that, are you going to go after those who serve from early administration or only the we administration? Okay. Now, lastly, if they are serious to do it, they can be selective. Can be doing it through of being exhibiting a vendetta. And then some of the members on this committee, they have problem. They have issues. So I don't want to be personal, but I already got confirmed reports that some of the key members on the committee, they use USAID and World Bank have problem with them already. As long as they're on the committee, they won't give the committee a dime. This committee, it requires a lot of money to fund this committee. And some of them on the committee too, they were accused of corruption. The reports are all there, but you put them on this committee. So, like I said again, I welcome the committee, but I think the president should reconsider, and if he really serious about this committee to do the job, you got look, when you put serious people on this committee, like you say, well, take for example, a president put Councillor Gonglo there. Say, okay, you will chair this committee, for example. Jeff will know that you're talking serious thing because that's a man of that's a man of integrity. A man is highly respected by all sides of the political divide. Okay, the guy he makes chairman of this committee, he was the immediate past LSCC boss, and I think he had a problem with the CDC government. He was removed. He went to court. He won his case. He was paid off. Now, and other members of the committee are those who have personal issue with people in the CDC, with the president and so now, how are they coming to this committee? What kind of mindset you think they're going to be doing an honest job? So again, my last point is, why if the people you're trying to go after, they resist, they won't cooperate with you. Take for example, you won't go after, they resist. What are you going to do? You're going to force them. You're going to use what means you're going to use. But again, look, as I said again, I welcome this committee, but I think they will have some roadblocks and some hurdles in the way. But Lofa, you can come in.
So, Tomalin, regarding this whole asset recovery thing, right? The idea is great. When I heard the news that the president had the announced or declared this executive order, I made a post and I celebrated the idea. But then when I saw the list of the team members, I then realized that it was all Vla. This team was actually organized with the intent of providing job opportunities for supporters of the campaign who did not have or don't at all, who don't have what it takes to occupy any other position in government today. So they needed to create room for these individuals to play their role. So they just consider, say, look, you know what? I'm just going to put you somewhere, and hopefully the public just consider it okay. Tamlin, the issue of assets or recovery, this is not like, I made a post about this. The difference between assets recovery and being able to recover your susu money from the susu ma is the fact that you could call the police and the police could go to the susu mother and say, hey, pay the man money or the woman money. It's far different from you having the needed expertise, the understanding. You need to understand finance. Okay? There's a big difference. The issue of assets recovery is in no way, shape, or form comparable to one being able to go and research and obtain academics credentials or validate academic credentials of people. That is not the same. The issue of assets recovery is not simply based on how often you gather people to go and protest. Look, we are talking about specific areas of expertise that one needs to have the experience, the understanding, and the ability to implement. Okay, you must have that financial background. I spoke to not one person, and again, when these things come up, because I am not knowledgeable of them, I reach out to resources to enlighten myself and to keep myself abreast of the topic on the discussion, because I knew we were going to discuss this today. All right. One person who I reached out to, and hopefully DeLon will come on here. And when I say DeLon, people, please don't misquote me. When I say DeLon, I'm not talking about Darryl Corrupt DeLon. Corrupt Darryl DeLon. I'm talking about Willie DeLon. He will be on here and will contribute to this conversation. And the first thing this brother said to me, right? He said, and Duke is on here. He will speak to that because he has a financial background as well. You are looking for specifics. All right. Are you certified in? Do you have what he said? Let me read specifically. He says certified anti-money laundering certificate. That's something that he actually is involved with right now. And he started to beat my head with all of these things that needed to happen. All right. He didn't only stop there. He said certified fraud examiners. Now, If we were to go through the list of those individuals that are listed, how many of them can we say possess a CAMS and CFE certificate? Not, I don't know. Not a single. I have to do my own research. Is it based on how you were maybe productive during the campaign? Are they simply just trying to give you an opportunity to shut your mouth because you're afraid that you will come up and say, I supported the campaign of Honorable Joseph Boakai, so I need to be placed somewhere in this government? This is what I sense from this list should be literally trash. It should be wrapped up and thrown in the trash. I don't see anybody on there that can actually adequately and successfully implement. I will tell you this: take my word to the bank. I gave you the next year or so. All you will hear is we fell short. We did not get the financial support. People kept blocking the way. And at the end of the day, nothing will happen. These guys will get the employment. They will be paid for probably 6 years and nothing will come out of it. Liberians will end up being victim of this nonsense that they claim is considered an asset recovery team. Asset recovery team, you simply grab somebody and just throw them somewhere because you feel like, okay, it will sound good to the public. Any serious minded government will look for literally experts at this right here and put them in position. What happened to the what is guy name Molu? What happened to Professor Larry Kennedy? Why are we reaching out to these people to say, look, we want you? You really think Professor Larry Kennedy was set to put his character on the line? I'm glad he's not here, and I'm discussing this so it don't appear as though because he said it in front of me. So I want to sit here and just kind of the glamorize his character. But here it is: Larry Kennedy would not put his character on the line. Now, John Malu, to some extent, I'm not trusting him, but at least he got the experience because again, he proved it. He was able to sit to raise fund with a convicted criminal or felon. So I'm not pushing it to that extent, but there's a possibility. But I know definitely that Larry Kennedy, Emmerich Benson Nicole, Willie Dillon, these people who could actually hold the hands of some of the individuals they are bringing in. But I didn't see that. All I saw was an opportunity to satisfy people who sat on Facebook and wrote nonsense. And then this is the opportunity to give them jobs so that they can shut their mouths and continue to move. And I said this earlier today. This is not the opportunity to recollect people's social money. That's not what it is. This is asset recovery. You need an understanding, the finance background. You need a whole lot that comes with it. I don't think this team is going to go any further than where we are hearing they are. It's going to be the end of it. It will start today. I would have, you know what? Let me say something to just, give my brother Robert. Hopefully, after here, you'll cash out me something. Look, man, I would have been excited had I seen George Lobo name on this list. I think he has the finance background in the banking sector. I think he would have been far better off than some of the people I saw on there today. And I'm going to say this, all honesty, I would have been excited had I seen George Lobo name on that list to participate in the process because he understands the banking to some extent. At least he worked in the banking sector for a little bit of time. He understands how things are organized in there. It would have been better. Thank you.
Do look, take up your professional, the financial professional. So I want you to take up your partisan hat. Take politics for other.
I will, but
I'm coming. Look, like I said in my opening, I support an asset recovery, but because we should be concerned about people who acquired ill-gotten wealth in a space of 2-3 years. They become millionaires overnight. And you got to question how they acquire these properties, how they acquire this wealth. But do you think President Bouaka is sincere about this, about getting these acquiring, going after these people with his wealth, or you think it's just from partisan? And again, I support what Julia said, that it's just a matter of finding job for people that supported him. Because honestly, if he was serious, you won't even put partisans on that committee. You will take professionals, experts, people that they didn't even support you. But take perfect, we got it in Liberia, got it out of Liberia. So do you think he's sincere to go after people with this ill-guided work, or just smoke screen?
So let me be honest. I think there's some good intentions in terms of what the president wants to do. How they're going about it is what I have problems with. And I think I was one of the first individual when I saw that list, I responded immediately. I said, the list itself takes away from the level of seriousness that we all of us see in this process. We want accountability because we know there are serious individuals who have violated the laws of Liberia in terms of corruption, in terms of fraudulent practices, right? But when you are, constructing a team to take on such attacks, something of that magnitude, you have to send a message from the formation of that team, the individuals, that you actually mean business. And yes, where I come in. Number one, if I had seen a George Lobo on that list over a Martin Cully, I would have said, you know what, I would have given it. You know why? Because George Lobo's got a little bit of understanding of that environment. Whatever you say, right?
Yep.
He's working in the environment. He's definitely done multiples annual search in AML, be it,
my brother will sleep good to know.
No, truthfully speaking, that's a skill.
No, that's just the honest truth, though.
That, right? He's gone through training for the U.S. Patriot Act. He the reason why, and people say, "Oh, it's America." No, forget it. Money laundering and fraudulent activities is a global issue now. So there are a lot of different things, right? George Lobo was probably done with FinCEN. He's actually dealt with OFAC before, so you should have some level of OFAC, a number or so in the system already, right? I'll just put it out there. When you see that, right, and tell me this is how detailed I want to be with it, and take off the politics and the affiliations and whatever it is, I don't think it sends the level of seriousness that we need to see from this particular group. You said something major here. If a Taiwan Gonglo was actually the chair of that particular asset recovery team, I'm like, okay, we're going somewhere. Because what somebody like that in control of that team would do, he would be able to reach out to the necessary individuals with the expertise, right? Because that's what you need. Now, I understand you need the CAMS, the certification. You need all of those things there, but it's not the only thing. You need people from all levels because there's so many layers of this particular process, right? You need bankers, right? You need a lot of people who are involved in, fraud, right? Those backgrounds. You need the CPAs, possibly the CFAs. You need a lot of different people with different, background in this process. The reason why I think it's going to be a challenge is this. If you take somebody who's just been on social media writing and just throwing things out there and put them in that environment, when you go through high-level meetings and you have to talk to international partners that could potentially be helping through this, right? The learning curve for those people to be able to even, be able to pick up the languages, the system, adapt, the communication, adapt. It's going to be too foreign. You understand me? You have, and let's say this. Let's say we on the asset recovery team meeting. The reasons to believe that somebody we're investigating have taken money from the government. Let's say the only thing that we have on our hands as a beginning point for our investigation are financial statements that we've probably acquired from somewhere else. What is reading those financial statements? How they understanding what's on the statements, right? It's not like going and say, oh, the person built a house here. Within 3 months of being government, so we have to go after. That's not the right way. There are signs, there are processes, there are systems involved. And that's why I think that you can't give those kind of roles to toy cops, right? To play police officers. You need people with the skill set. You can't give those roles to people who have been in violation for the same thing that you're trying to hold others accountable for. You cannot give that responsibility to somebody who have actually used the presence to become a political mercenaries for hire, where you take money from politicians and slander other people and then move on. That's not accountability, and that's the only problem I have with it. And look, Uncle Joe, Papi, follow. Let me just be honest with you. Your nephew talking. Please listen to me. We all support your effort, okay? And let me admit, some of us were wrong about your judgment because we see now that you're bold enough to take on even your own political party. Let this process be about individuals who can drive this narrative due to the level of seriousness. Because you will have some people with questionable patterns, like the Samuel Twe. Those existing records are already there. The Jefferson Koji, those ones existing. The reason why you need people like the Tewan Ganglo and all of those key components, or even experts, contact Aaron, whatever that in. That man is a guru. You understand me in this? He's worked across different African countries and stuff. He has the experience, right? Even if those people don't want to work, they can be able to give you suggestions. But I want you to listen to something important. All of the small corruption involving all of these people, it leads to a central point. You cannot get to that central destination if you're putting individuals who don't really understand the language and how to be able to carry themselves in actually addressing this issue. Finally, it's not simple, Tomalin. It is a complex process. And I keep saying on the show, the United States modified that process through something we call in the banking, the financial sector here, called the U.S. Patriot Act. The U.S. Patriot Act was an opportunity to be able to simplify this entire process of tracking potential money laundering activities of individuals who are actually using, right, corruption to be able to fund their own lavish lifestyle and be able to transfer into global financial systems, including the United States as well. What the Patriot Act does is that it provides those tracking, those particular those record keeping system to be able to help investigators in the future. That's what I said. The least person, if George Lobo was on there versus somebody from the EFL called Emmanuel Gangwa, who's got absolutely no understanding of this, I would say, you know what, that's smart thinking, because he can bring some level of expertise. So I have a major problem with that particular recovery team. I really do believe that if you have people with questionable characters, they should be replaced. I do think, too, that the president should be open to reaching out to experts and professionals outside of that environment and gathering their opinions in terms of how that process can be expanded to people who can really help their team. But so far, I'm not impressed with what they put together. And trust me, due to the complex nature of that particular process, if this team stays, they're not going to get nowhere. You're just going to murder the system and just implicate a lot of people that don't need to be implicated. It's a serious issue, and I think the president needs to take a step back, go back to the drawing board, and attach more seriousness to his appointments, and look at some of those individuals and say, you know what, we need people with the skill set that can help us to get this done.
Okay, Robert, during the campaign, the President Bogga made a lot of promises, and apparently some of the critics are saying now that at least they were telling the people that I lived up to my promises. I talk about war crimes code, but then again, are you sincere with the war crimes code? Are you just put it out there and then you left it open, hanging? It comes to asset recovery. Are you serious about it? Because again, the problem I have with this whole thing is that, like I said, I support the intention. Yes, people got ill-gotten wealth that they shouldn't have gotten. You got to question how they got the wealth. That Teola said something. Teola Gibson said something. When you enter office, you declare your asset. If you say you had a home and one car, but then in the last 3, 4, 5 years, you got condominium, you got like apartment building all over the country. You riding cars that cost $50,000. You got a lot of stuff happening. And it's good that you have to order these people, find out how you acquire this wealth that you got. So I don't think President Bogga is serious, because I'm already hearing some of the people that they are targeting, so they won't cooperate. And I don't know how you're going to force them, because if the people find out that you join witch hunt or somebody get vendetta, because like the Duke and Lofa said, most of the people in the committee were on Facebook attacking people that they come in to go after. You are attacking them. Already, some of them already saying that the first thing one of them jump up, they go after President we'll take a house, we'll get a teacher, we'll get a doctor. Come on now. You haven't started already jump attacking the man, so you come and go after the man.
But Brother Tomalin,
I come and do. Yeah. But it shows that it's like you have a motive to go after a certain person. So Robert, what's your thought about the committee and this whole process?
Listen,
Todd is not gonna do what you said.
But what I'm saying,
But I
you're
think
right.
you want to waste him for
Yeah.
you want to wait for.
But what I'm saying makes sense, and there needs to be more to that. But let me be truthful, and I didn't want to cross, but I have to say this. George Weah and his government committed some serious violations. The reason why I'm so upset about the way in which they have started with organizing this committee is I think that they don't have the level of skill set to really go after those people with the science and the evidences, right? And so that's why I was going when you said that, we can't just say that, yeah, going about it, accusing people on Facebook are different things. But there are serious crimes that are committed here, the massive corruption. But I think the seriousness is what I question, and that's what we should be talking about. But I get your point. I just wanted to throw in there that low. People are afraid because they did something. Let's get it right. But I think the government's helping them. If they don't apply seriousness by putting the right people, it's going to be waste of efforts.
Yeah, but Robert, but Duke, you support the maxim that says you are innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah, no, true, according to the law. But listen, you remember on the show, tell me quickly. You remember when we're talking about the 20 and 40 million? If you remember, what did I tell you? I said from a professional eye, I can already tell the discrepancy because, right, of certain reason, and yes, how you identify that, right? I can already tell from a professional eye what really transpired. From a legal standpoint, you can't just say somebody's guilty. But from a professional standpoint, there are things that I can just pick up right on and say, this occurred. How you go about tracking it is what they will struggle with, and hopefully they can be able to add more seriousness to it. But I'll tell you this, something occurred, and they don't even need to go far. Go to the United States report. Go to OFAC. OFAC's got that. If you put I have access to OFAC and FinCEN, and I'm not going to say this. If you go internally into the system, and if you see some of these individuals that have already been designated for sanction, if you are in finance, you're working here, look at the code. Go to your internal system and put up that code. That particular code is going to give you exactly what the depth of that, and you can be able to track some of the documentation, if possible, about what they're looking at. And because of that, I'm telling you, I know exactly where this can go. But all I'm saying is, guilty until proven, innocent until proven guilty, but you can see that somebody did something from a professional standpoint. It's just about bringing it together.
But Duke, to be honest with you, though, and sorry, Robert, I know you got to come in, but you don't even have to be a professional at this to know that people been stealing in government since way before you were born. And then CDC just came and just amplified well, I take that back. UP came and amplified, and then CDC just literally
supported it.
Yeah, but let me just stop at that to give Robert the opportunity to come in.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, so a few things I want to say. One is, if CDC-led government was massively corrupt, then Unity Party was massively corrupt. Because I didn't say this, there are many reports that point finger to how Ellen Johnson Sirleaf ran one of the most corrupt government. And so this is no secret. And Ellen-led government corruption was even worse, to the point where she did so with nepotism, right? Where she had her sons and family members in very strategic areas of government. Nakal. Who's to tell how many millions of dollars were stolen from Nakal, right? And so there have been corruption. Yes, absolutely. There have been corruption. And any well-meaning Liberian who frowns on corruption would embrace this whole assets recovery scheme. Here is a problem. The problem here is, and I think Tomalin alluded to this is witch hunt. This is witch hunt. And the reason why this is witch hunt is because of Joseph Boaka's judgment. And I would differ with my good friend Duke. I still question Joseph Boaka's judgment. And this list, you know, brings to question his judgment. And here is the reason why. Because if you were thinking about establishing a legacy, if you're thinking long term, if you're thinking holistic and not just a particular government in CDC, or not just a particular individual in George Weah or Jefferson Koji and others, then you will put together a team that will once and for all, create this blueprint for long-term assets recovery brewery. We have this in the United States and other countries. They in Ghana and our neighbors, they have this. This is not government don't form these institutions whenever they take all offices. These institutions are fully functioning and they are ran by independent experts. This is how you do it. And so Joseph Boakai would have gained another supporting me had he went about this the right way. This is a knee-jerk reaction. This is politically motivated. There is no other way you can describe this, right? And so, in as much as the idea sounds great, and in as much as the idea is one that every well-meaning Liberian must embrace just as much as the War on Economic Crimes Code, because the War on Economic Crimes Code somehow linked into this, right? Because when you start identifying people with stolen money, when you start identifying people with stolen properties and things that doesn't belong to them, that's the first step to holding them accountable. You take it away from them, you retrieve it, and then you start going through the legal process to prosecute them. Now, how can you do this with a young man like Martin Kula? I mean, you kidding me? This is a joke. I mean, how did he even, what consideration, what professional considerations were made to even have him on such a committee? I think Lofa and Duke have said it all. This is you guys' area. I like to stay in my I don't like to stay in my comfort zone. I like to learn new things, and I'm very inquisitive. But what considerations professionally were made outside of a loud mouth? And I have nothing against this guy. I just pick my friends and pick my people that I respect wisely. But Martin Kulai obviously is a smart man. He's a smart guy, right? He has some qualities. I mean, guy's a great writer. Okay. I wish he spoke as eloquent as he writes, right? But he's a great writer. I haven't really seen him really speak out the way he writes.
He hasn't been an eloquent speaker yet. So.
No, he's not. Well, he's not. That's what. So I'm just saying. So I wish his writings were
stop attacking the kid, man. Get to the point.
I wish his writings were reflection of the way he spoke, right? But he got some qualifications. But outside of publishing fake degrees without any sort of qualification in that area, right? On social media, what qualifies him to be on an assets recovery committee? What qualifies him? And then the indiscipline to be on such a committee and not have the common sense to say, whoa, I'm no longer just a guy who can just go on Facebook and just write whatever. Now I have to have some discipline and control what I say so that it doesn't come off as witch hunting. He goes on Facebook and start to identify. This is witch hunting. This is what you get when you have people, loud mouths, who feels like, well, you know what, I'm the loudest in the room, so I'm the smartest in the room, but deep down they don't know anything. I mean, any professional will tell you, look, I can't speak on this matter. This is the reason why when you have kids pending and adjudicating in courts, lawyers are very careful on what to say on a pending case, because that could be held against them. So you can't go on Facebook, you own a comedian, and say, oh, we'll take George Weah's house. You can't take George Weah's house because you don't know how George Weah got his house. This is a process you have to go through. You're not just going to go and take George Weah's house. I mean, don't hit my car. I hope you got good insurance. I'm at the gas Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. The guy was driving too close. But you don't do that. You don't do that. And so, Tomalin, this is a complete joke. Nothing will come out of this. Nothing. The list is a representation of nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what you get from this is all bluff. This is showmanship. And Joseph Boakai, I'm disappointed yet. I'm really disappointed because I believe, like the War on Economic Crimes Code, this was an opportunity to really set the stage for a long term. And by the way, who told you access recovery was limited to a particular administration? Access recovery is not limited to a particular administration. This is the reason why we always said, and we continuously said, that if you're going to go about this matter and you're going to go about audit, you should not audit just from 2017 or 2018 to 2003. Go back. Go as far back as possible. And so look, I will not sit on this platform. This is the closing argument. We are listening to by intelligent people, well-meaning Liberians. They don't care about the politics of the day. They don't care about Joe Weah, CDC, or Joseph Boakai, or United Party. They want a functioning Liberia. They want a stable Liberia. They want a Liberia where men and women will sit and discuss the issues independently. We expect a list that reflects independence and unbiased. This list does not. And when you have people like Martin Akula on this list, it tells you that this is a joke. And if I were George Weah, I will comfortably sleep tonight. I will comfortably sleep tonight because you know what I know? You're not. Look, let me close on a note because the other guys that I know, the other guys that are coming. When Ellen Johnson suddenly tried to bring in experts, she didn't go to Liberian people to go after Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor was said to have, stolen billions of dollars. She went to the international community. These were serious experts in this area. Look, you need specialized skills. There are people who are certified in these areas. You need specialized skills. You don't need hungry jokers who went abroad and just got some kind of degree. Have Martin Kula told us where he got the money from to build three 7-story buildings? Have you told us?
Collie.
I don't think that man here.
No, Kula is another person. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Martin Collie. Man, don't mess up my own name here too, by the way.
No, don't include Ben. Liberty Party people.
Yeah.
Man. As he told us where he got his money from to build seven. Maybe we can start with him. Asset recovery can start with him. Maybe we can start there.
Pay to play. Pay to play. That's what I said.
He never worked before. He never worked. So where he
got the money?
Built seven stories house. And so this is a joke, and I'm disappointed in Joseph Boakai because again, this was an opportunity to put together a sensible, smart, independent team that will set the stage for long-term assets recovery, not just this moment. So I'm disappointed.
Let me, Grace, as I come to you, congratulations on the National Women's Day. We talked about it earlier. Yeah, recognize women across the world, but it's good to have you on celebrating the National Women's Day the world over. But weighing on this asset recovery team, and welcome Professor Kennedy and Brother Dylan. Welcome. Hope you and Kadabo. Hope you guys can help us with this. Just think you got an expert who's usually listed.
Yeah, Professor Kennedy. Then we already weigh in more on it, but I know assets declaration has to do with compliance with regulations and things like that, and also to maintain transparency, and it's a good thing. But then the intent, the public mindset of the intent of this government with the whole asset declaration, that's the problem. And I just seen the back and forth going on with people complaining about it's not being fair. Like Gagwa just said, it's a witch hunt. And the people that set aside to even do the process, I was hoping that they had independent private Liberian citizens with the knowledge and the education to actually be able to do that, for it to be very transparent. But I don't think it's the case. So
I'm sorry, Grace. Lofa, can you look up the comments of Nyenwolo Peterson? This guy is going crazy, man. Please look at that. Please look that up.
Okay.
Yeah, so with all that being said, thank you, Kagwa. With all that being said, I was just needed to Professor Kennedy them to really come in, but I just wanted to say that the country is just proceeding. The first 100 days coming up is not looking good for this government with all the helter-skelter situation. And my question to the Baka government, the first thing is that if you could not believe Martin Colley in his findings about all these people that you hire within government, you did not believe his findings because you still hire them. Why now will you believe that you can hire him to do asset recovery? So it means that you don't have faith in his work in the first place. So I just read it. I would just leave it to the professionals because I'm very disappointed. I am very, very disappointed with how the government proceeding. Thank you.
Kelabo, then we can bring the two gentlemen. Kelabo,
Guys, please let me just quickly say here, guys. If we, because of a lot of us being on here, if we would just kind of stick to the time, just to consider, because this issue is critical, I appreciate it.
How many minutes each person?
Let's keep it at least 2 minutes 30 seconds because this is a very important topic.
All right.
That was my time.
Well, thank you. But Robert Duke, I think this guy went probably 10 minutes. But I will try as much as possible. This afternoon, I was working some of the testimony from Liberia about one of the members of the asset recovery team, and I responded to the person, and I said to the person that Liberia is largely an illiterate society, or I would say a functional illiterate society. Those of us who say we are educated, we don't engage in critical thinking. They are very smart people who score 100%, 90%, 98% in class. But when it comes to national discourse, they are like someone who never went to school. And I said to the person, when the CDC government proposed turning reduction for senators to come from 9 years to 6 years, president to, I think 4 years, representative 4 years, in spite of the fact that our constitution says if you are a president and make amendment to the constitution, the change will not take effect under you until you leave office before that change takes place. We allowed semi-illiterate guys in the opposition who were contesting for the Senate position themselves, and some of them were incumbent, to lead the opposition to go against such a positive constitutional reform. All of the intellectuals in the opposition, they all just followed suit. Nobody was engaged in critical thinking. This is one classic example of failure of the entire country. Because Councillor Elvin Martin, who is clouded in questionable activities as a lawyer, because he was removed by George Weah, today he's a darling of the government without even vetting his past. Look at Alex Coffey. He worked at a financial intelligence unit. There was a case between Alex Coffey and Wanda Freeman. It's all there. This guy was accused of having a signature stamp that when he traveled, he gave it to his office staff to stamp check. He didn't even trust his deputy. He's on the asset recovery. I can go on, name it, that other people I don't even want to mention because I just did some scoop, even from GSC Powers record. There are people on this list. This is a political, I would say this, when people are campaigning, they make promises, and many of these promises are not meant to be kept. This is one promise that I believe is not meant to be kept. It's intended for noise to come, then they pull it back and say, what, just like the channel replacement, there's noise, so they pull it back, they put eyes on it. I think there's the intent of it. Oh, we wanted to do the thing, but the public made noise, so we slow down on it. If you want to be serious about it, there are institutions of government. First of all, many of these people, you go to anybody's house, they're going to first run to court. You got the Minister of Justice. You got the AACC. You got other institutional government that have the same responsibility that you're giving this committee. Why not just give it to them, fund a committee, appoint the Solicitor General? I don't know whether we'll have Solicitor General now.
Not yet.
Give more lawyers to the Solicitor General. Let the Solicitor General office have probably 20 or 30 contract lawyers with expertise in different areas. Then you start your investigation. But you're not going to go, this is an attempt to pay by, you can't give a serious job of this nature to people that you want to pay by because of political support. You don't do that. You should even go to those people who are expertise in this area, whether they supported you or not. But there's no more space for presidential appointments. So they say, you know what? Let's create one and dump some of them there.
Thank you, Brother Kalabu.
This is really it.
Thank you.
Is it me or who going now?
I'm not calling a shot. Tomalin calling a shot.
Chairman.
Oh.
Yeah, Professor Kennedy.
Oh, okay, Larry.
Yeah.
Chairman Lo.
Now let Willie go first, because I think when I got here, he was already here. So I'll tip it over to Willie.
Ben.
I appreciate that, Mr. Kennedy. All right. So as for me, I think that we've had a culture of impunity in our country for a very long time. We have people who have been placed in positions of public trust who have violated the trust of the people, the country for so long, and just nothing happened. You know, we had the peace and then the truth, and Reconciliation Commission that, they did their work and they made suggestions, and then it seemed like all of the suggestions just withered away. I think it's about time, even if it's not done in the most perfect fashion, it's about time that we look at the facts, we look at, impunity in the country, and we try to strive forward towards, what's right, to try to create a culture of accountability for once in the history of our country. So I for me personally, I commend the boycott government for at least taking this stance. It seems like they're moving towards, establishing this war crimes court and also this asset recovery team. I think this move that they're making is due to the fact that maybe there have been some pressure from the international community. But regardless or irrespective of where it comes from, I want to see our country move in the right direction. And I think this is the right direction. Now, who's on there, who's not on there, what it comprises of. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, you can fine-tune the machine as you go on. But let's start something. Let's move in the right direction. Let's people be held accountable for wrongdoings, whether it be, actual harming other people or even economic crimes. And that's why this asset recovery team is set up for. I mean, we cannot continue just allowing our leaders in our country to just, use the country as like a rent-seeking instrument to just get money, and then the taxes are not used to put our children in school. I mean, we're here in America, we're comfortable. Our children go to good schools here, but why do our children go to good schools here? Look at it's the time of the year where most people, they're getting their tax return back. People pay taxes, and you see, what the tax offer. Why can we not have that in our country? So I really think that this is a step in the right direction. I commend the government for that. When it comes to things like that, this is something that I have a lot of experience in. And I think that we have to start somewhere and then keep the ball rolling.
Let me say that before I go to the chairman will take over from me. But about Mr. Dillon, let me just say this. We welcome this committee. It's good. But like you said, it should start from somewhere. Look, we all want this cultural impunity to stop. But it's already there on arrival because the people that comprise in this committee, they are questionable characters. So it's like if you accuse me of being a thief, I know you're a thief. I want to listen to you. So it's already there on arrival. But again, Larry, Ben, take over chairman.
Thank you, Tomalin, and we'll go to Larry. But thank you, Willie. I'm still waiting for my appointment. So you and Anton on the show again until I'm just messing with you. But Larry, let Larry go ahead, and then I will weigh in on it after Larry.
So Willie, with that being said, let me let you know that it's called pay for play. So don't listen to what Ben is saying over there, all right? Just want to let you know right off the top. Look, listen, no self-respecting African dictator who has ripped off his country will leave an audit trail for you to easily find assets. It doesn't happen like that. They are going to use every trick in the book to hide it. So you shouldn't bring amateur night at the Apollo to come and say you're going to do asset recovery. You're wasting your time. When Mr. Wead and his team wanted to do asset recovery, I met with a lot of these guys, right? Took them over to New York City, met one of the largest law firm that is well known for doing asset recovery. Sat down, put a plan on paper, even had conversation with Grant Thornton, right? The group that was in Liberia looking through the CBL data. One person they were interested in to talk to MI, intelligence guys over in the UK, talk to FBI agents in the US. Look, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But the most important thing is you have to do several things at the same time. You need to put in place the mechanism to make sure that any money you recover is not going to end up in the hands of new crooks that are going to end up stealing it. So you have to be able to close the gap in Liberia right now to make sure that you don't run into future issues of people still stealing money, because that was one of the problems Nigeria ran into. So you need to close that gap. How are you going to prevent the money repatriated to Liberia from being stolen by new crooks? You got to close that gap. Here's the thing. The guy who actually did the asset recovery for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the law firm, in totality, I think they recovered just about $8 million. Despite believing that Charles Taylor has stolen billions, they only managed to get the hands on $8 million. So you need a level of intelligence on the ground. And, my brother, Robert, Martin Corley then would serve some purpose in terms of building that family tree. When the U.S. sanctions someone, did they sanction the individual, their wife, their kids, and everyone down the line, because they understand that someone down that line could probably be used maybe to open up a bank account for that person. That's how it actually works. So you need people then to help to build that family tree to do the asset recovery. But you need people who understand the financial system. You can't simply go to the CBL, see money being wired using this thing called SWIFT, and think you're going to go to SWIFT and get that data. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. SWIFT will not reveal that information to you. So you need forensic accountants, people who understand the banking system, people who really know how people move money from different accounts, who can read financial statements, who can read bank statements, and all that stuff. But let me wrap up with this. All of that is meaningless if you don't have a strong judicial system. It's not that you're just going to go grab the money. These people are going to fight you in court.
Yeah, lawyers, yeah.
They're going to get lawyers, and they're going to fight you in court. And they have the money not to do so. If you don't have a strong judicial system, they're going to end up bribing the jurors, and you'll be wasting your time. So the asset recovery thing, it's not a small, easy thing. You can't just come up one night willy-nilly and just say, oh, I want to do asset recovery. You need a strong team on the ground. And you're going to end up with such a large team, there will be infighting. Like all teams, there will be infighting. So you have to deal with that, and the whole thing is more than likely will collapse.
Lara, to just add to your point, in 2006, that's how the government of Liberia lost the case when ECOWAS asked Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to indict Ellen Snow, Judith Bryan, and others. That's how they lost the case, because the judicial system was not strong. And the guys just grabbed the juror, and the government lost the case.
Larry, you can't do anything without a strong judiciary system. So there's so many things you have to put in place before you get there. So I think for now, it's just a matter of show, because if they're really interested in it, they will call the experts to come and try to help them do it. And they don't even have to pay those experts. Those experts can sign a contract with them where the experts will get paid by people who can finance asset recovery. There are people out there who can finance asset recovery. So this thing where they're looking to pay committee, you say your government is broke, you're looking to pay people to do that. That's not how it really works. Call in an expert that can tell you how this whole thing works.
Professor Kennedy, you're giving the people free consultation.
Thank you, Larry. And let me say this. So we're gonna go around the horn again. We'll start. I think it was Duke first, Lofa, and then we'll start again. I think this is an important topic. I want us to stick on it. My thought process on this is exactly. I think you just piggyback off of. I think Larry was almost in my head a little bit, right? I think this is a joke. I think this is not anything serious.
Actually, I said it was a joke.
Oh, that you? Okay, sorry, Larry. Sorry, yeah, the man wanted to hit your car, so that's why I thought you you were worried about your insurance premium going up. But let me say this. I think this is a joke, and let me tell you why I think this is a joke. You look at right next door, Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone has an anti-corruption commission headed by a young, energetic guy. He's been recovering millions of leones in dollars, right? I think what the government of Sierra Leone has done, by the way, far from perfect government, because they have their own challenges, right? But when Mara Bio came to power, that was one of the things that he said. I remember a quote from him. When he was accused of doing witch hunt, he said, "No, I'm not doing witch hunt. What I'm doing is I'm setting the precedent so that when my people are getting ready to leave, they will know that the next government is about to do the same thing. So they better act in accordance with the law," right? The reason I say I think this is a joke is because you have an LSCC that was just restructured. You have an LSCC that, by the way, the international community took part in this whole restructuring process. Edwin Clamartin and all these, Edwin Clamartin, who was the last LSCC chairperson, right? Exactly. They went through the international community, said, you know what, we have some competent people. By the way, this is the same LSCC that the president went to declare his assets to, right? First stop, Mr. President, leadership is also about symbolism. Where is the declaration, the publication of your declared assets? Where is it? Where is the publication of your vice president's declared assets? What is the benchmark and the example that you are setting here? Because when you want to speak, you have to speak with so much authority that the country will start to tremble. If President Joe Biden had released his assets to the public and come and gave a powerful speech on anti-corruption and lay out clearly that this is not going to be business as usual, you will see the country shake. But like everybody has said on the platform, you come out, you name an asset recovery team. I think Duke said it earlier. You got people on Facebook throwing tantrums, people thinking, because everything in Liberia is a joke. Everything is a joke. They go on Facebook, it's all a joke. Oh yeah, you know, like Larry, you're right. You really think you're just gonna go collect somebody's property? Whether you think they stole it or not, you're not just gonna go ahead and do it. My last thought on this before we go back to Duke is, remember what happened in 2005, 2006, when President Sirleaf took over? The same thing when she was going after the Taylor era officials, who, by the way, were sanctioned by the United Nations, not only the United States government. You have to remember the Taylor era officials could not travel to any country. Any country, once that country was a part of the United Nations system, they couldn't travel there. They had to get permission to be able to travel, right? This, Larry, like you rightly said, what I would advise my president to do is to start to walk from the beginning and start walking back, right? Go in front and start walking back. Your judiciary, because all it takes is that for somebody to run to the court and the stay order is placed on that committee, they're done. So except you're doing this just to say, you know what, I've checked the box to say that I wanted to name an asset committee, and hey, look, the court stopped me, we got to get serious. We got to get serious. So that's my initial thought on it. I want us to go one more round on it, at least 2 minutes each, just to expand a little deeper onto it, and then we can kind of, you know, we can kind of produce. So let Duke. We'll start with Duke.
So it's Lofa before me.
Oh, Lofa, sorry.
Yeah,
Lofa and then Duke. Sorry.
Duke, thank you. You know, at least somebody here like me. You know,
I was second. You second.
One day Ben will get to like me. It's okay.
I was lie you more than me, man. Let me tell you that.
No, but on a very serious note, I want to speak to something specific. What you know, Professor Larry spoke to. He said, Martin Collins and other people can serve to some capacity here. I think they can actually hurt the process. It's not about the young. And I don't want this to be personal. I think they will hurt the process as compared to helping, because just by the fact that you are listed, nominated, okay, not confirmed, nominated, you already started to take to the social media, okay, and start to be personal about this. This is where we speak of professionalism. And this is why in the Western world, practicality matters. Had he had that experience in a much more organized environment where he was working, maybe he, after the nomination, he probably would have been like, okay, you know what? Let me just keep my mouth shut and not say a thing until I'm opportune to work then I can exhibit what is needed.
Lofa, let me pause you for a bit. You will get your minute back, your time back. But I don't think Marty has spoken. Has he said anything? I just went on his page. I don't think he has said anything. I've seen people who are associated with him congratulating him. I haven't seen any posts from him because we want to be, we don't want, I mean,
okay, no, and I'm glad you called my attention to that.
Yeah, because I don't think he hasn't said anything about it. At least
okay, then
I
that's
just
great.
look at his page. Yes.
Okay, great. I'm glad you called my attention to that. Then, if that is the case, okay, I still bring us back again to the level of understanding where we find ourselves. We cannot simply put this token in the hands of individuals based on the level of support that was provided to us during campaign. I think he could be used to some extent to achieve the goal here. Hopefully, he can obtain the needed experience in this environment. If he just plays to it, hopefully those who are above can come and nurture him to be a refined young man and understand that he's no longer a militant. And this is about serious business. It's about a government. It's about governance. It's not about Facebook podcast, Facebook blog, where you just write and say whatever you can say and think that again you actually earn that scribe to say all of these things. Then maybe he can be used to some extent. But again, like I said, I'm glad that you brought that to my attention so that I don't go across as being, we are very often found to be hateful when you say the truth or envious when you say the truth. But if that is the case, if he hadn't said anything about this entire process, I still think that the list is one I would not consider. Let that list be trash, and hopefully we organize. Why you weren't on here, Professor Larry? I even mentioned your name. I said, look, you know what? I would have loved to see the likes of Professor Larry, all right, Councilor Gonglo mentioned. And then I mentioned what's his name, John Malu. But then I was very skeptical of the mention of his name. I only mentioned him because of his previous record and to some extent his financial background. Other than that, I wouldn't be mentioning his name because of his association with a convicted felon, and he was proud to do that. Other than that, I think that the likes of you and other Liberians can adequately get it done. But the list right now, it doesn't show to me that they are serious about anything. I think it's a joke and a cover up to provide opportunity for those who provided support during the campaign.
Thank you, Lofa. And again, let's remind everybody, let's stick to 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I have a clock here. Lofa, I gave you a little bit of time because I interrupted you. So, Duke, let me ask you a question, Duke, and this is in line with the same question. Do we need an asset recovery committee? Should we look at strengthening the LACC? Should we look at something like what Kelabo Gonglo said? Maybe name a Solicitor General, equip the Solicitor General office with a lot of lawyers, with the requisite people, right? And let them be tasked with this opportunity, because you have a lot of political figures. I mean, I saw Emmanuel Gonkwe on the list. I mean, Emmanuel Gonkwe is the head of the EFFL in Liberia. Do we need or asset and recovery committee? Is that what we need?
Yeah, so Ben, great question. And here's my thought process. And I think you want a process that's a little bit away from government interference and some of the same people who've been part of that process for a long time. So I would give it a little bit of, yes, we need that, but I think we need competent people. I think we need people who understand what they're looking for. That's my only point with this here. There's so much you can go with this. And the professor says something here that I think was fine. Right now, if you look out on the broader scale, the United States is actually countering and fighting global terrorism and money laundering at a wider scale. You got different task forces that have been organized. You know what they're doing? The funding available for countries who are willing to partner up, because they understand some of those loopholes, some of those things that is, especially nations like Liberia going through, could globally impact, other countries, right? And that's why it's important. So yes, you need a team like that outside, right? With the level of expert, that's my only concern. But to take advantage of my quick few minutes that I have.
You got 1 minute 30 seconds left.
Yes, there, right. In the financial system here, the United States financial system came a long way because remember, before the U.S. Patriot Act kicked in, when you had the terrorist information, it was limited in really understanding money laundering. But the improvements now that we see in the system, that's why you see the AML, people with CAM certification, you see a lot of different changes that have now made it more advanced, even when it comes to initial interactions with people in the financial system here. My problem there is I don't feel encouraged by the names that were announced.
Mm-hmm.
I totally believe that the president needs to take a step back. Professor Kennedy said it. Go after people who understand what who can even find the funding. Matter of fact, start from Liberia. Recently, as of last year, there was a situation wherein over $500,000, I believe, or more was recouped from our banking setup because of some information from OFAC, the United States, through individuals that they already have there. So there's existing relationship, but I think we need to modify that with experts who can help us, give funding for this process and even hold people accountable. So this is my only concern and my only frustration about it. Is a good process. I think, yes, you need a team away from the existing structure you have, but I think it needs to be refocused and it needs to be retooled with the right people.
Thank you. And you're right in time. Thank you. Let's go to Robert. Robert, is it Willie or Robert? I think it's Robert. Robert, and then we'll come to you, Willie. No, I think Robert, then yeah. So, but Robert, let me ask you this question though. Like Duke was saying just now, he thinks we need call it a task force, right? Like he said, task force. My thought is, first of all, I want you to expand on what Larry said earlier about potentially looking at the judicial side of this thing, right? Because that's the first thing that's going to happen. The moment it happened when we became president, it did. When they set up ART with Serena Cephas and Arthur Johnson. Funny thing, Amara Kone, B.N. Kesseley, and a bunch of other former officials of the Sirleaf administration immediately backed at them and threatened court action to say, listen, you're not going to come and just, first of all, this is a witch hunt. So it's funny how this is deja vu all over again. So I want you to expand on the component of what do you think, how do you think the president should be able to, if he's serious about doing this asset recovery, do you support Larry Kennedy's idea of judiciary reform or whatever you want to call it, and then coming down? Is that how you think it should go?
Yeah, I agree. Anything Larry says, I agree. I mean, the man is so smart. I cannot find myself disagreeing with.
Pay for play, man. Pay for play. Stop it.
Do that. I cannot. I'll put myself in trouble if I attempted to disagree with Larry, especially if he says something that's. I'm not going to embarrass myself on public TV. But here is what I would say. I think we can still have the anti-corruption institution and have assets recovery institution that work in hand with that, right? And of course, there's a legal component to this, right? And this is the reason why, Ben, it goes back to the list. It goes back to the structure of it, right? If you put together a committee such as what the president just did, the question that I want to ask the president if I had the opportunity is, what is the objective here? Is the objective just to go after the CDC-led government? Or is the objective to set a blueprint for long term? Because like you mentioned our neighbor Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. I mean, you can put together an effective assets recovery institution, but these institutions must be ran by independent minds with experts in their field. Okay, this thing requires a specialized skill, and I don't think that the individuals that have formed part of this committee represents anything serious about not just going after the CDC-led government, but long term after Joseph Boaka's administration. And to your point, you just made a great point. If I were George Weah, like I said earlier, I would be more relaxed right now, because again, I'm trying to understand from a legal perspective, and I'm not a lawyer, but from a legal perspective here, how are they going to go about just at seizing George Weah house on 9th Street, for instance, just because they say it was renovated when he became president? How can you use that as a justification for seizing that property? You have to prove that the money used were public funds and it wasn't George Weah money. If you don't have a system in place to prove that, it's hard to do anything, And so the idea is great, but the process is flawed, and the process yells out witch hunting, and this is what it is.
Thank you. Let's go to Willie, and then we'll go to Grace. Willie, you said right step in the right direction, or good step in the right direction, right? You also said we can oil, or we can fine tune the machine as we go forward, right? But what if we start the machine? What if we take what if the oil that is needed in the machine, right, is a certain grade, and then we go put cheap oil in the machine and blow the machine up? How do you fine tune it when the machine says not even starting? That's the first thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, in responding to you, what I would like to say is that we already, sort of like what my predecessors here have said, right? We already have other institutions in place that should aid the process. Like everybody's talking about the LACC, but also the FIU is another institution that works along those same lines, working with the financial institutions for anti-money laundering and things of that nature. So those institutions are already in place, even the GAC, right? Now, this commission has been set up. I guess the idea would be that it's an added layer, right? I feel like this thing has to be triangulated. They have to set it up in such a way that, yes, maybe giving the prosecutorial powers to LACC, because for a long time, we know that they were not given those powers, right? Maybe giving them the prosecutorial powers, having them work along with the courts, and then using this asset.
But to point out information, LACC already does have the new LACC Act empowers LACC with they're giving LACC prosecutorial powers. The new act. Yeah, they did. Because I remember James Verdier, right, who is the former LACC chair. At one point, I remember we were on Spoon, if I'm not mistaken. He said that he wished he had this current LACC, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So they did pass a new law. You're right. At one point in time, that was the issue of contention, that they didn't have the prosecutorial powers. So now that they do, right, this situation could be triangulated to where these different organizations work together towards one cause. And the cause could be towards stopping money laundering, auditing, making sure that those improprieties that may have been, done over the period of time, those people are punished. And at the same time, funds, either those assets are sold and funds are being put in the government coffers to be used for other things. I think that it can still be done. Well, I mean, we if we're saying that we need a certain grade of oil, let's come together and see how we can fine tune it. Let's come together with more ideas and see how we can come up with something that would make the entire system work towards one accord, which is making sure that our society is functioning in a way in which people who do negative things, as far as, taking government funds and things of that nature, they're not getting away scot-free. I think that instead of politicizing the thing, people say, let's forget about this, let the past be the past.
Somebody got to mute yourself. I know we won't mute that now. Okay. All right. Okay, Willie, go ahead. I think you were finishing up, right?
Instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, let's look at the good and the bad, try to do away with the bad and move towards the good. Because at the end of the day, if we say, because it's not perfect, let's forget about it, then we're going in another administration where, people do what they want to do, take money as they please, and nothing ever happens. And I'll be honest, in my life, in Liberia, I haven't seen anyone that has been arrested, jailed, prosecuted for stealing money.
All right.
So what happened?
Thank you. So I know, Grace, you are shaking your head, right? I don't know if you're agreeing with Willie or you're not agreeing with him. I'm trying to figure out, like I asked him earlier, right? what if the engine is, what if we put water in the engine, right, rather than oil? How does this engine even start for us to fix it, to fine tune it?
And that's why I was shaking my head with Willie. I know he has, what he's saying is a kind of good intent what the government trying to do, but some of us who don't like mediocrity, it's just kind of funny to us, because for you to start anything, for it to succeed, you have to start it strong, and you have to start it with the right people. The asset requirement needs a team, it needs a committee, but you cannot start to put partisan and supporters in those committees and expect them to do the right thing. There will be witch hunting in this process if they are there. There will also be them protecting their own people because they are partisan of that particular this particular government. The assets recovery that you need a scoop of all these internal people coming in, external people coming in, so they can be able to execute the work very well. But if we just start with the dead oil and put it in the engine, the Ben Sanvee, you put a low grade oil in the engine, it's not going to be able to really produce what they really want to do in the country. You have to start it strong, and you have to not be mediocre about this. And that's the mediocrity that like people do all the time. They just, let's just do that one, we're happy that way. We just need to do it that way, we're happy. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And for people like us who want to do things like me, I read for grants. It's not easy. That's why we know that even what Professor Kennedy is saying, that you are giving them consultation that they can get money for this and that. The people will check and balance you for every little thing before you get a dime from them. So they're not going to give you any money when you come and write and they're seeing that you got social support and policy to do this audit. They're not going to do it. And that's just my point on that.
Thank you. Robert, you got
give me 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
If Willie was a mechanic, don't take your car to him, especially not an expensive car, because you can't fine tune an engine, or engine that's dead. If you put oil in the car, the engine's gone, done. You can't fine tune. You got to buy a new car, and then you fine tune it. So don't take your car to Willie. You won't survive.
Thank you. Good thing Willie is not a mechanic.
Tonight, me and Robert on the same team, right?
Yeah. So let's go to Emery. Welcome. I'm going to come to you specifically. I want you to address. I saw a post from you about this, and I want you to explain to us what you meant. I think you said something in the essence of it being a joke or something. If I can remember what that post was about, that it was a waste of time. I think that was your post. It was something about this.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks.
So I want you to come in, and then we'll get Kelavo and then Larry.
But my post, I received so many calls this morning about my post.
What was it? Can you quote it?
Okay. The post was about the team.
Yeah.
The team of people that they put together for the asset recovery initiative. Looking at the team, all right, and I believe in a team concept. When I look at a team, I want to see the level of expertise on the team, because that's how you get effectiveness, efficiency, to see what you can accomplish the mission. All right. When I look at the team, I'm seeing names that I don't have any recollection, even with research, as to what they have done in respect to anything in that in line of accounting, finance, forensic auditing. Nothing. They said, Alex Coffey, but I said Alex Coffey is just an individual. He's not a team. So when you're talking about a team, it has to be a collection of people with different expertise. It can be an investigator, forensic investigator, the security personnel. All of those different things going to make our team. But this is my whole thing about it, man. When I look at the whole process, we already have existing laws. We already have other autonomous agencies, independent agencies that are being empowered by existing laws. All right, they have the power to do those things. My thing, why can't we focus on strengthening those areas? It's almost like we are creating a complex situation. It's almost like we are creating layers upon layers. You cannot have, for instance,
like another bureaucracy. Pretty much.
Yes. When the existing ones not even functioning, it creates a situation where you will find our existing laws being circumvented by the new ones. Because once you have an executive order, for instance, you can now have an executive order and have the committee at the State and Presidential Affairs Ministry, because they don't have power, any statutory power over there, right? To be able to carry out those different functions of the asset recovery team. But they have the statutory power at the Ministry of Justice, LSCC, and the other places to carry on those functions. But then why are we creating an executive order?
Yeah, but let me ask you quickly before I go to Kelabo. Duke said something, and I think I picked it up. He talked about the fact that what about the argument of a task force not being caught up in the government bureaucracy, right? Because I think that's what you mentioned, Duke. You said something outside of the bureaucracy, something outside of the structure. He too has a problem with the names, right? But his thing is create a task force that is strong, effective, but totally outside of the government structure. What about that, though?
But that's a great point too. If you look at what happened 6 years ago, right? All of those agencies that were independent, all right, got interfered with political influences. And that's the reason why you don't do that. Once you do that, then the independence of those places all gone. They cannot make judgment that are going to be not political, non-political, apolitical decisions. You don't want that. That's the reason why you see a lot of agencies get protected. Even in America, you saw when Trump had some executive orders that were challenged, right? Because the Justice Department over here is independent in their decision, their thought process and everything. That's why some of the executive orders by Trump got struck down. But look at this. You have, first of all, you cannot put the cart before the horse. What I mean in Liberia, this is what we are doing.
30 seconds, so we can go.
Yeah, this is what we are doing. If you look at our system, we don't have a structural system where people conduct business, people operate. They operate outside the structure, outside the structural system. Once you start to go after people, do you have a system to actually track when someone did not declare his or her asset? Do you have any way to come and challenge that person and say they stole money? Do you have any way, anything, any proof to really come up with solid evidence and say that person stole money when most of our financial transactions are done outside the structure? So we need to have structure, first of all. We need to declare our assets and be open about it for people to see, to know what you brought in. You can't come in and don't declare your asset.
Thank you, Emmerich. We'll come back to you.
I'm not going to follow in.
Kelabo Gonglo, let me ask you, and then Larry Kennedy. Is the president... Because listening to Emmerich, I'm trying to figure out something here, right? I know the president seems to be in a hurry, right? You know, it reminds me of Willie Toba. Willie Toba said, I'm a president in a hurry, right? So maybe Joe Biden wants to, because, you know, he's almost like a Willie Toba scenario, right? He was vice president, he's president now. But is he rushing, or is he, because like all of us are saying, right? If you don't, like Larry said, if you don't have a strong judicial process to be able to ultimately achieve the goal of this thing, why even waste time with it? Because if it's almost like we already know what is going to happen. So why are we even wasting time rather than maybe him investing his energy in building and, you know, making those institutions strong like they have in this country with the, you know, the system in this country is so strong that a sitting administration, the Joe Biden Justice Department, named a special counsel to investigate Joe Biden. I want you to talk about that, Kevo. Is he putting the cat before the horse here? And what should he be doing, though?
So I hope I'm not muted.
No,
yeah. So here is my thought process on this. You know, as I sat here and listened to different panelists, this is what I would say on this issue. You know, I'm asking myself, is President Bouaka looking at a temporary process, or is he trying to engage a process that will last beyond his 6 years? If the answer is yes, that he's looking at a process that will last beyond, that will go beyond 6 years, then he should take the first step by institutionalizing it. You should maybe put a committee together. Do we need a special office within the Ministry of Justice that is independent? Or do we need to start a commission? I mean, that type of question has to be answered, right? And if you ask me for my opinion, I would say you just need someone special in the Ministry of Justice that is independent, work along with the Solicitor General to do this type of work. Then you move, like how in South Africa and all African countries, they have the public protector. You can have something like that goes after government officials. So, that are independent, can go even after the office of the president, right? Like they did to Jacob Zuma. You can have something like that. Then we know now that you are very serious about this. That beyond you, even yourself, who constituted such a group, can also investigate you. For example, if you look under the code of conduct, we're supposed to have the office of the ombudsman. Up to this time, we need to constitute the office of the ombudsman. Because these are public interest issues. If you want to take on asset, the process, people should come, there should be somebody there above the asset recovery thing that I can run to. Maybe if I don't want to go to court, I can go to the ombudsman and say, hey, I want you to look in the work of the asset recovery. They are violating this. They are proceeding outside. I don't have to go to court. I can go to the ombudsman. Ombudsman can say, hey, the asset recovery thing is in violation of X, Y, Z. So we need to get this process. We need to have a holistic approach, not just a temporary thing that satisfies maybe public demand. And when you have a populist approach to a long-term problem, sometimes it becomes a failure. And I'm afraid this is an attempt to address the gullibility of the public much more than address a systemic issue in the country.
Thank you.
And that's wrong.
Thank you, Professor Kennedy. I want you're probably going to take us home on this topic, because there is a breaking story here. With we just received it in our possession. The Minister of State is writing the chairperson of the Liberia Telecommunications Authority. Right. Remember, they are at the Supreme Court. This issue of tenure, right? All of these different things. So the Minister of State is actually writing. We have the letter in our possession. Hopefully, we can get the folks to put it up. Lofa, I'm going to send it to you. Hopefully, we can get them to put it up. It's a presidential directive, right? Directing the chairperson of the authority to not to cease if a travel ban has been imposed, hiring of new staff, contractors, consultants, and purchasing capital assets and projects. Pretty much saying shut the place down, right? The letter is also address the chairperson as outgoing chairperson, right? So we're going to get on that, but I want you to close on this, Larry, because that's going to be our next topic. That's what's going to take us to the phone lines for the next 30 minutes, right? But Larry, I want you to close on this asset and recovery thing, right? You struck a great point when you talk about the judiciary, when you talk about all of the things that you talk about. I want you to give the administration some free counsel. I know Grace doesn't want it because she thinks they should pay you, but give them some free counsel on what needs to happen at this moment. If President Bokar called you right now and said, Larry, what should I do? I just listened to you guys, right? What should I do? What will you advise him? How will you advise him to go about this?
Please ask him to bring you on to lead the entire process.
No, so great question. So there are people actually on the ground who has been chasing this effort for the whole asset recovery, right? These are people who have a ton of experience. They went after Saddam Hussein's money. So they have a lot of experience in doing something like that. So my recommendation would be, look, outsource this thing to the professionals. Don't waste your time with all this stuff going on the ground. You're wasting your time because the big money, it's in the BVI, the British Virgin Islands. If you ever spend time looking at things like the Panama Papers, the Paradise Papers, and all those things, you have to start in the BVI. Mm-hmm. And here's the other thing with the asset recovery. You can't set say you're going back 5 years or 6 years, that's not going to work. You have to let the people who are doing the investigation go back as far as they can take it. Because what happens?
So you're saying they should make that determination, pretty much.
They will have to sign a contract with a company that has experience doing this stuff, and you cannot have restraint on how far back they can go.
They can go
because it defeats the purpose. Because then it shows that you're not serious, right? You can't say, "Oh, just investigate the past 6 years." That's not going to work. I think the mistake people are making is they're focusing on asset recovery based on what people in Liberia own. They're looking at those assets of people in Liberia. Somebody got a big house.
Yes.
That's what they're looking at. But that's sort of a short-sightedness because the billions, Liberia has received billions and billions of dollars, and billions have been stolen. Some of that money is out in the British Virgin Islands. It's in the US. Some may even be in parts of other countries in West Africa, but you need to bring in expert outsourcing. This is the one place where I would say you need a concession agreement. It doesn't fall in line as a true concession, but it is a concession agreement. And those people will come in. You don't even have to pay them. They will pay you to buy that debt, the asset they're going to recover. And then they can tell you, say something, look, if I recover 200 or 300 million, I get to keep maybe about 40 or 50%. And you get
that similar thing that Nigeria did? Is that how Nigeria, because I know Nigeria is able to recover hundreds of millions, right, from Sani Abacha.
Nigeria recovered billions, but the U.S. government had their hands in keeping some of that money. The U.S. FBI got to keep hundreds of millions of dollars as well. So there are laws on the books right now in the U.S. The United Nations have something similar. The United Kingdom has something similar that will help countries repatriate funds back in. But when you start bringing those countries in, like the U.S. FBI, the British Secret Service, and the different entities, they want to cut for the time their officials spent doing this investigation. Liberia is wasting their time if they think they can do this themselves. But I think the president has a plan. Maybe he's not revealing it. I hope he has a plan. But what he needs to do is to outsource this thing to some of the big name asset recovery firms out there that can finance it. Those companies will put up maybe like $50 to $60 million upfront to another firm who will do the litigation, because you'll be wasting your time. That small little thing.
So your point is, don't even waste your time with setting up don't set up no task force. Don't you just outsource it and hey, listen, this is what I need.
Larry, this thing it's intended to just satisfy.
I think it's just a lot of show the same.
But he's right. There's an existing process. Like I said, they've done it before. They recovered some money recently because of something that was linked to some kind of organization in Liberia. So the structures that you got to outsource it. Finally, Ben, you said something. I think it was Larry or somebody. You remember when the recent censure included a minor, right?
Yes.
It was done because that minor was believed that the United States uncovered custodial accounts in the name of a minor. And so that's why I extended that far, because technically speaking, until that minor reaches age of maturity, before those funds can be accessed and stuff. And so to prevent that from happening. So that's why he's saying that externally we need to have these, people outsource it or use the existing structure.
Well, so I think can a committee bring a case in its own name? Can a committee, what are you going to do, gather information and give it to the judiciary system?
No.
I mean, what is that all about? Because
you're talking to lawyers anyway.
I'm looking at this list and I'm laughing because I even see my own boy, what's his name? This boy, he used to be when Joe Boyka used to come to
Duke JJ.
No, not Duke, man. Duke not on that. No, but there's this guy. There's this. I forgot his name. It's my old friend. He would kill me if you see this video that I can't remember. But he used to provide security for the old man when he come here, and he's on the committee as security. So I'm like, okay,
it's a show. It's a show.
Why his name? You know who I'm talking about, Emre?
George Lobo.
No, John Moluba. John
Moluba, right?
John Moluba Glee.
It's John Moluba.
Yes.
That's why when I said the list, like Professor.
Yeah, John Moluba. That's it. Yes, John Moluba.
Professor Larry Kennedy just struck it. I said the issue. This thing is way bigger than the people on our list. Way bigger in resources and everything. In order to be effective, there's so much money. when it comes to forensic investigations, so much money. But you know, when people talk, right, once other people on the other side don't want to agree, they politicize the whole conversation. And I don't believe in politicizing something that we should be thinking or way forward, like Gongo just said. If you want something that's going to last beyond the 6 years and forever, to put Liberia, back on the right path, right, in countering those things, we have to do it the right way. It's not a band-aid kind of or knee-jerk reaction. We can do it. If you look at what's happening, I said Clyde Williams, Councillor Clyde Williams on our list, right? He already got a problem with the previous government, right? Yeah. So that alone can be a compromise
creates an environment of like, are you kidding me? This man is going to
right. So you know, we'll go on and on. So many things we can pinpoint. And see the wrong, good intention though. I will give the president credit for good intention. Very, very good initiative.
So
the right way.
We need to recoup some of those money because it might be in Jamaica too.
Well, listen, that's why I think Larry is saying hire an external entity and go, and they will go where the money is.
That too, but that to remember now. I always say this here. There's already an existing process with OFAC, with the U.S. in Liberia, because remember, there's been instances where monies were recouped in the bank. Remember when Serena Sifa was Solicitor General, and there's some monies that was actually recouped because the U.S. pointed to some individuals infusing some kind of cash in the banks and stuff, that money was withheld. So the United States already involved, even with some of the sanctions that was actually passed on, is because OFAC already have people giving information, being able to track. In addition to outsourcing, you can also use that established network to go after that. But
and let me say one final thing. Let me say one final thing on this topic.
Yeah, we're gonna close.
What I would end up doing would be I would call Serena Cephas, Arthur Johnson, Lafayette Cool as a lesson learned to find out what happened when they
y'all feel.
Those Cephas on sanction.
You know what? I'm done. I was going to say
we don't want to take recommendation for Cephas. Please.
I was going to
even when you want sanctions, you can get a license.
I don't think it matters whether you're.
It matters. Let me tell you why. It matters because
here's my thing though.
But we just talk about people on the team though who have questions.
Right, but what I'm saying here is,
what kind of solutions can you find from a CFUS?
Duke. What I think what Professor Kennedy was speaking to is call those who were on the previous team and just kind of do a brainstorm.
Or use them as snitches.
Kind of figure out why the problem. Right.
Exactly.
Where did the experience? Right. What happened?
Project, we do a lesson learned to find out what went right, what went wrong, because you don't want to make the same mistake, right?
So I would go
the bottlenecks.
I just don't trust people who have experience to be incompetent for suggestions on the way forward.
But here's the thing, though, Duke. Here's my thing, right?
We gotta end now. We gotta go.
Once you have, like Professor Kennedy said, once you have these idea of the bottlenecks, then you can actually address it in a different way. And then I agree with him though on that part. Bring all of them together. Where did you experience the problem? Now we will address it in a very different way, and we will solve the problem. Okay. I agree with you.
So, Duke, Lofa, can you? So we need to put this letter, guys. We need to talk about this. We're going to wrap up and open the phone lines. So again, this 10-year issue. Do you guys think this is more of an ego thing now? Of I'm the president, or we're the executive. Here is the letter, right? We got the letter. This is from the Minister of State. It's a pretty short letter, letter addressed to, if you notice, it says outgoing chairperson, right? Outgoing chairperson of the Liberia Telecommunications Authority, presidential directive, strict adherence to spending on operational costs only. Dear Madam Outgoing Chairperson, by directive of the President, consistent with your replacement and the ongoing petition of rate of prohibition you filed at the Supreme Court of Liberia, you are hereby instructed effective immediately to desist from any spending outside of the approved budget except allocations for daily essential operations that are already budgeted and approved. Additionally, restrictions are hereby imposed on all foreign travels, hiring of new staff, contractors, or consultants, and purchasing of capital assets. Please ensure strict compliance with this mandate until further notice. Signed by Sylvester Grisby, Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. They CC the Minister of Finance, so you definitely know, Minister of Justice, Controller, and the Internal Auditor. I want you guys' thought process on this. What is this? Because I'm trying to understand if there is a stay order on this conversation, on this topic. First of all, why are they addressing her as outgoing chairperson, right? Because if she is still covered by tenure, what's going on here? Maybe we can get everybody thought, and then we can have so let's stay within the time frame. Lofa, you start first, and then we'll go to Duke, and then we'll do the same thing with Grace and the rest.
And I'll be very short on this particular topic, right? You're not a stranger to what happened a few weeks ago or a week ago. Remember when the hooligans went to another government agency to
why people hooligans?
They are. The behavior exhibited is that of a bunch of hooligans. And that's why I will reference them as that. Going forward, I'm not surprised that this is happening. This is in disregards to the law. Okay? Simply put, disrespectful to the core. I don't understand where they're coming from with this idea. Again, this is Liberia we find ourselves in. You insulted, you accused the CDC government of having to have done similar thing. Here you are, you're amplifying exactly the message from the CDC government. Shameful, disgraceful, unaccepted, everything else you can name. Use any adjective. It's embarrassing. Thank you.
Thank you. So Duke, go ahead.
Look, there needs to be some level of, let's see. I think there's too many things happening. Going back to what happened in NASCAR, it doesn't really put forth a good representation. There has to be more order. There needs to be a respect for, what has been established in terms of, various positions. I don't think that, coming up in that way sounds a little bit authoritative. And it paints the kind of picture that doesn't really fit into what we're trying to do. And I mean, as a country, and I think that the president needs to possibly do a better job on that aspect.
But it says by directive of the president, right?
Yeah. Okay. By directive of the president, I mean, in this case, well, that's what I said. We need to be better, right? And if the president signed off on that, that's something that I would like more, information on as to what's really transpiring, right? It shouldn't be this way. I think we need to have order. We need to respect, each other, and it doesn't have to come off as if we're targeting individuals or there's this whole attempt, to present ourselves as the dictators. I think we need to proceed with caution on this issue, and hopefully it can be addressed going forward. But just finally, in addition to that point, everything we've had, I'm calling on the president and his team to just go back to the drawing board and see how best they can exert some level of patience to this issue. Let's not put ourselves in the position wherein now people see this administration
breaking the law,
yes,
right? Or being flagrant violators of the law, pretty much.
And we don't want to do that. But on that part, that's just my part on that thing there. And last, I didn't have a final point on that whole asset recovery issue. In conclusion, we've all agreed there's been initial missteps with the establishment of the recovery team. We do see the value of that process and what it can do for the country. But I want everybody to understand, though, in the end, we should not just, see this as a witch hunt. Let's be real with ourselves. People in the previous administration and possibly before committed some level of financial crimes against the state. Now,
why are you saying possibly before? Like you feel that the other
administration. Okay, well, it happened. Let me take that. It happened, right? But there needs to be a starting point, and this is why when the previous administration took over,
they should have done the same. Yeah.
And I'm on record. Go back to the videos.
No, you are. I give that to you.
Remember this on second thought. We talk about the mop-up exercise, and it was Eric and myself there, and I said some things, right? And talking about outside the structure, the mop-up exercise should not have been conducted outside of the structure. And also I said that the government needed to, and you know what? Don't finally, Ben, please, this important point. President, we are ordering investigation into Noka. What did he do? He didn't reveal the findings of that investigation.
Yeah,
They sealed it.
true.
Understand me?
They
We
gave him a
also
report
thought,
and he didn't
right,
release it.
he didn't release it. They had the opportunity. They said they have Roberts. I mean, the president's son, a couple other people, and put them in jumpsuit and took picture and took them to Monrovia Central Prison. At the end of the day, nothing happened. So if the current government is going after and trying to establish some level of accountability, hey, listen, we have to start from somewhere. Maybe a future government will say, you know, let's extend this further. But for now, I think it's welcoming. There were a lot of things that happened. I do believe that in addition to the Samuel tour, if you dig further, there's somebody who's got more to do with that level of corruption, and all the signs point to Jamaica result. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Grace, let's go back to LTA because Duke wanted to get his last word on this. Let me ask you, Grace. First of all, the executive mansion announced that they have set up a committee, a panel, to advise the president on this 10-year position issue. So as a result, the message from the executive mansion was that everybody just stay put, right? Because in fact, one of the excuses was that the justice minister was not confirmed yet. Now we have a justice minister in place. So there's supposed to be a panel working. Grace, pray God, tell me, why is the Minister of State writing, giving this directive by directive of the president? What's going on here?
Disorganization of the government. We keep on saying that the government, the people were really not prepared when they came into power, period. Liberian people thought this government was going to be over-prepared because of the long-term, the longevity of the president himself in government, and then all the people that were around him that they thought that was this highly educated people that have all the experience, but it's the case now that everybody's seeing it. And my thing is, with the whole tenure position, where are the policies and the regulations and everything concerning the tenure? Why are you people? It's like you're wish hunting the people in tenure position. The people supposed to be in that position, those positions, because and they should have security and also the long-term commitment that they are trying to be there for a particular time. For you to remove these people, it has to be extraordinary, maybe something they committed or something that did not do right for you to remove them. So why are you people still wish hunting the people in turning position? Means that the president has more partisan, he has more supporters that he needs to put in certain positions. And right now, he looking to removing these other people to put his people there to satisfy them. And it's a shame for them to be doing this. It doesn't set any good track record for our country at this point in time. Liberia is already way behind the countries that are way behind. I always say that, Dr. Moniba, I'll give it to you because you said that that's your stuff. But I'm so disappointed. The people very disorganized. Everything going on, helter scatter, fire blazing in the country from different angles. People talking about that on Facebook. And I always say, I just want to put this out there. Joseph Boaga said he was going to dance with the devil to become president. The devil is equivalent to fire. So you're just thinking about that.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go to, I will go to Robert, and then we'll go to Emmerich, and then we'll go to Kelabo, right? Robert, listen, is this about flexing the muscle, right? Is this about, I'm the president, I've made this appointment, I'm going to make your life a living hell? Because what this reminds me of, right, is the Isaac Jackson situation with the CDC, right? When the CDC, when President Weah appointed somebody against, in Isaac Jackson's position, Isaac Jackson had to go to court, he had to go through, they literally made Isaac Jackson's life a living hell in London, right? They deny him a passport. He literally was just in London dead. They say, okay, saying you won't go to court, we'll make your life a living hell. Is this what is about to happen to LTA? Is this what we're looking at? Because when you say the presidential directive and you copy the Minister of Finance, you copy the controller of the entity, you copy, because this is literally, what is it? What do you see here, Robert?
You can only flex a muscle that has the power to actually do damage, right? What's the essence of flexing the muscles when you're not going to throw a fist? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So legally, the law does not protect whatever they're trying to do yet, right? My question is, they spoke out against the last administration about being a lawless government. And so this administration should act differently, right? This administration should be one that is a respecter of the laws and the Constitution. So if George Weah flexed his muscle, you mentioned the Isaac Jackson's case, and they criticized it. These guys criticized it. A lot of my friends who supported Joseph Boakai, they criticized that move. They term it as unconstitutional, and that George Weah was running a lawless government, right? Against the government, right? Some of them called George Weah the behavior was thuggery, you know. So what are they trying to do now? It seems as if, Ben, they have opened the George Weah playbook, and they have read all of the pages from George Weah administration, and they are leading as George Weah led. This is the reason why we should give George Weah credit, because everything the Unity Party and Joseph Boakai has done. I mean, the Papi was chilling in his private jet on his way to Ivory Coast the other day, and these guys were taking pictures in the private jet. But guess what? This was the same private jet issue that were criticized. But
Robert, private jet offered by the country, though, not individual.
Well, it's still private jet. Joe, we are get the same story. There's the same private jet. My only thing I would advise, if you're gonna send a private jet, make sure the Papi's suit is not bigger than him. Make sure his suit is stellar. You know, his tie is properly. You know, you can't put in private jet. You're looking all kinds of way. That was my only disappointment. But you know, they're flying in private jets. They're flexing. You know, it's almost like, you know, I told someone the last time, Ben, you know how sometimes people are jealous of your lifestyle, but internally they're not telling you. But you know how sometimes when you do your little video on when you wear your expensive shirts and you do your video and you're doing your muffler day, your music playing, Ben, and you post it. You don't know, people looking at it, Ben, man, like, look at it, man, what the man doing? He wearing Fendi, he wearing Louis Vuitton, but you know, he doing this. People envy people, and when they're given the opportunity, this is what they want to do. And so LTA, I mean, are they going to do something? Yes, they will. Does the law support it? No. This will go to court. And if that goes to court, the government will embarrass themselves. And I don't think this is a good thing. They should stop.
Thank you. Emery, what is the intention here? For me, I mean, I think I see a lot of contradictions here. The president say he got a panel. He's going to wait for this panel to advise him on tenure position, but yet and still he's giving directive to his chief of staff to write a letter issuing presidential directive, because I'm taking it as that came from the president. I don't think Grisby will write a letter say presidential directive and he's lying on the president, right? So what is the president? Is the president? I mean, what is he doing here? Is he taking his own word? Is he going against his own word? Because again, like I said, there's a panel. The statement from the executive management said everything will stay as it is until this panel advise the president. Meanwhile, you have commissioners or supposedly commissioners who the president appointed, Patrick Horner, Abdullah Kamara, the other guys, I think Angela Bush-Cassell and somebody else, I forgot the other person that they appointed. You have them parading, right? Going around in the name of their commissioners. Another point of clarity here, they need to be confirmed by the Senate. They have not, there's no confirmation whatsoever. So this is an all around, I mean, this is an all around messed up situation. And why can the executive management just say, listen, we'll take the L on this one. Let's wait for the Supreme Court to issue their opinion and let's wait for whatever advice. But why are they trying to push this envelope? Why do you think they're doing this? Why?
I think we have to look at how disorganized, like Grace, other panelists over here talked about, the how disjointed, right, from one functionary to the other, the kind of disintegration, right? We see from one department or one ministry to the other, we see how disintegrated they are. But one thing I will tell you, right, people voted former President Weah out. They did not have confidence in him. Mm-hmm. So they voted President Boakai in because they felt that he's been around for a long time. He understands the enormity of our issue. And he said over and over that he was within, right? He can come and bring that change that will give us a better outlook, a better system, and everything. So my point there, going back and forth with making a comparison, I don't think we need to make the comparison, but hold President Boyka accountable for things he said. Okay? And one thing, when you commit to saying these things, anyone with integrity will follow through to the letter and be able to deliver and do those things that they have said. It's not happening, but it doesn't mean that he cannot make a comeback. He can recalibrate, right? And see that he's in the wrong direction. Once he has good counsel around him, he can make a comeback and put things back on course. But I just want to be
we
fair.
can make comeback too. Even we can make a comeback.
But this is the point, Robert. You see, the comparison you're making right now with the airplane situation, we can't do it because it's unfair to do, because President Boyka had not spent the country's money on airplane. Okay, so we cannot do that, because once he's being assisted by somebody who's footing the bill. That's a whole different thing from the president of
presidents can do that.
Yeah, they do that. For me,
that's
not really a sticky issue. So I don't want to go down a path that I would see myself being political, and I don't want to be political on some of these things. All right. So, but President Boyka can make a comeback, recalibrate. He already had a panel, right, to decide as to the direction.
Advise him on
he should have come back with the finding first of all before taking the next step. And what's happening right now is just a bunch of confusion that you don't want. Once you start off this way with your governing structure, a bunch of confusion, disjointed, disintegration, and what have you, you will find yourself being on the defense all of the time. If you watch what's happening with this whole new administration, they are just on the defense now. And the same thing we saw in some members of CDC that we criticized. It's the same thing we see with some people that criticize the past government on the way former President Weah was proceeding, right? We criticize those things. And some people think that, you have to give time. How long, do we have to wait when over 40 years we have gone through all of the same old impasse that caused our country to stall behind, to be stagnant? We can't keep doing it and say, let's give time. I think the right time is now to make sure that we're on the right path.
Thank you.
It's not wrong going back to revisit it and say, you know what, that letter we can retract the letter and see and make sure we come up with a finding from the panel before we can start to go out again to carry on our duties.
Thank you, Emerick. I want Mr. Gonglo to take us home on this, and then we'll open the phone line for the folks to weigh in on the topics that we discussed. Mr. Gonglo, just you kind of take us home on this LTA thing, right? What does it say about the rule of law? What does it say about Joe Buckeye's administration? And because, like Duke said, right, you don't want to send a message out there, like, okay, because even when you talk about investors, right, they want to know that they're coming into a country where the president can just send a directive from his chief of staff and say, you know what, you'll close my business down or you'll do this. There's a fundamental thing here with these tenured positions. It is before the Supreme Court, right? It is before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is getting ready to render an opinion on it, or at least the justice in chamber. I saw another citation today from Justice Kaba to Dr. Emmanuel, your former vice tender bearer, right? That Wilson Tappe is claiming that he's tenured, and Dr. Ure Yakpawolo got appointed.
They're in court,
and I think he's already started work, because I don't think EPA requires confirmation, right? No. So what do you think? I want you to just compact all of this. LTA. Why is the executive mansion issuing presidential directive? And by the way, calling the woman outgoing chairperson. Why are they doing that?
Ben, quickly, let me just throw this in there real quick, right? With the case about Emmanuel or Yakpawolo, they're in court. I just reached out to him earlier today, and I invited him to come on here and speak to that. But unfortunately, he said because his lawyers told him not to speak to it until after the case on Tuesday, at which point he will be available to come on here. then we can discuss it. But yeah, he went to court. What's his guy name? He went to court, and it will be discussed on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the strategy of Professor Tapper legal team was to actually file injunction on Dr. Ure himself as an individual not to work, not on the government, not on the president, not on the executive marshal. So he went after him. That you are taking my position. He shouldn't be there. That was my position.
Okay.
So he can't step to EPA now because
because he's being instructed, because according to Justice Kaba, everything must cease until I get. So
the action is against him. The action is against him.
So that leads me.
Let me address this issue.
You can take us through on this.
Yeah.
So that leads me to a quick question. You can include in your answer, right? Is this thing worth it? Because this looks like a bunch of distractions, right? Why can they just this tenure thing figure a way out of it? Wait for this panel to advise. Why is all this thing all mixed up? What's going on?
Ben, I will say this. First, let me just remind you, when you spoke earlier, you are putting your faith in the Liberian Senate. That these people are supposed to be confirmed. They've not been confirmed yet. The Liberian Senate is a center for trading job. Anybody can get confirmed. Anyone can get confirmed. So I don't know why you still have faith in it, because maybe you speak to some of the senators, but I don't have faith in them. So I wouldn't even talk about that. But yeah, what I was saying, I'll go back to my statement during the campaign, because I believe, I'll keep repeating myself. For the past 18 years, the CDC and the Unity Party are the corruption party in Liberia. They are not a party of change. So what is happening here? The two corrupt institutions, they're just trying to undo each other. That's all they're trying to do. So look here. Here is Unity Party that created all of the turning position when they were leaving office. And what did they do? They put political cronies in those positions to ensure that they remain in the CDC government. CDC trying to leave office, they too put political loyalists in those same positions, right? United Party wants loyalists in those positions. And my gut feeling is they will get their will, because the Supreme Court of Liberia is a political courtroom. They're not going to do that. The Supreme Court, under Justice Koko, actually ruled in favor of Martin Corley, that not the one we know, not the Facebook blogger. But this Martin Corley guy was my neighbor before.
He referred to this man as a Facebook blogger.
So that fellow won the case. But we are refused, the CDC administration refused to honor the Supreme Court decision. And even when they went for settlement, they said, okay, pay me off for the unexpired term of my contract. As we speak, Martin said the money was never paid. So the government of Liberia still owe him. So this is what CDC did. United Party is going to do the same. And for me, I have no sympathy for the CDC guy on this one. Because you know what? Some of us advised some of the key people, even on the asset recovery thing, that they could even take some executive actions after losing the elections. They refused to listen to us, including the War Crime Code issue. I personally spoke to some of the guys who felt our influence over President Weah, that let the president institute executive order to establish a War Crime Code so that the new administration will be entangled, will be tied to this thing. They said, no, we can't do it. I said, you go after the War and Economic Crimes Code. They say we can't do it. But guess what? He will invite you to the table, decide where you sit. In as much as I don't agree with President Walker, if the limit is just his past 6 years on asset recovery, I think it should be holistic, because economic crimes is a network crime. So you can't just pick one period and say, I'm going after this period. Some of the guys who even benefited under the CDC administration, they might be beneficial even of the United Party administration. So their asset will be linked to maybe 18 years ago. So I think we should just leave it open and let the committee go and institutionalize the process. But I have on this particular asset recovery issue and the removal of the turning position, I think the government should just have her will on that, because the funny part is, Ben, and that's why I said the two institutions are very corrupt. President Walker is not seeking to replace these current commissioners and other people in turning position by competent, qualified, credible, independent-minded people. No, Patrick Hunter is going to LTA. Tell me now. So it's just replacing one political actors or cronies with another political crony. What's the difference? Let them just go ahead, because they are the two parties of corruption. Let them go ahead. Let them fight each other.
Thank you. So, guys, thank you. We're going to go to the phone lines. Ansu, let Ansu come in and let's take some calls from Morovia. And then we'll take some calls from we have 15 minutes left to take the phone calls, and then we'll kind of do our closing. Let's just get the people to participate in the discussion and have a, yeah. So let's go ahead. Ansu, you want to go ahead and take some calls, and then Lofa will join you to take yeah. Okay. Where Ansu? Where is he?
I think he went back in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he went in the back. There he is.
Ansu, would you mute it? We can't hear you.
Participate, you can call us on. To participate, you can call us on +2 31 776 9274 72. Other numbers for you to call and be live on the closing argument on 0776 9274 72. The line ringing already. Let's pick up first caller. Hello. Hello. Can you please be audible, please? Hello. Yeah, go ahead. Police Academy. Let's hear you. People who are loving instead of people. You're calling your criminal here. It's not sit and be part of the people that will confront other people to that position. That is true. We can appeal. Come on, to impeach your for new office, to take your for new office. Because you'll be able to defend our country, not the interest of political party. Okay. Yes, political party defend his interest. Today, you confirm the paper as you cannot have minister. You're not to boy to not allow the to confirm. The didn't really know what to see. And now we see another one. You're sitting there, nothing for you, not talking, nothing. All right, thank you. You can just hold to the line. Other people want to participate. +2 31 776 9274 72. Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is
All right.
The after recovery thing is a good thing for our country right now. We need to recover all the stolen money that was stolen from oxygen. It's a good step by the government. The next thing is issue of the worker code. I see it's a good decision. It's the only thing that is those who make things remarks. Let me tell you now, the Christians, the legal Christians, we are not afraid. We are looking up to the government and international partners to make sure that this thing be implemented in our country. The issue of the penalty, we are going to get rid of it. Thank you.
You're welcome. +2 31 776 9274 72. The numbers for you to call. Hello. Yes, sir. Go ahead. You are pushing your voice.
Yeah, so
Okay. Let's say again. Is he calling from where? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, my point is I kind of dribble for a discussion about a fire issue where people I know the cause, I know the cause, people know the cause, and because when you can be better, he said, I get deal with the devil to get anything, and dealing with the devil is not free. You gotta pay your cost, and anybody that comes, so you will feel it with dealing with the devil. So that what happened to the person that intervened, you know what going for? That's my point.
Okay. Your points about the fire issue. +2 TD1 776 927472. Numbers to call and be live on the closing argument. Go ahead. Yeah. No, please check your line, please. +2 TD1 776 927472. Hello. Yeah, go ahead. Is your name again? Mama, you have the thought this in the phone bag. Yeah, calling from where? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the technical discussion. For me, one thing I really feeling bad for whenever I hear the party pushing CDC did it before, so we do it, it baffles me because the Unity Party, the slogan they came with is to rescue all. So whatever wrong that the CDC did in the past, I really think they should be coming back doing the same thing, and then when physicians try to say, oh, they did the same thing. So for me, it's quite unfortunate. It means that they're not really keen to rescue us. The only thing to repeat what CDC did, and we said, oh, it will not be good for our country. So they should change their strategy so that the country can move forward. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's pick up more calls on the we get signal from the guys. Then I'll join them. +2 TD1 776 927472. You alive?
Lofa, you can take some calls also because we.
Yeah. I got the phone lines open. Once the calls come through, I'll take it. If not, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the closing argument, and let me appreciate the panelists from the Panelists for their individual analysis as it relates to the current issues that are unfolding in our country as it relates to also tenure. The tenure position at the end of being an ex-government official who served in before coming to the presidency, which indeed people yesterday that he has the experience, indeed he has taken long in government, serving several departments, so he will not be learning on the job, but still be doing the work accordingly. And today is not proceeding as they was able to project him yesterday, even though some of us did not project him because we felt that it's not how long you spend in government, but it's how well you are being able to perform in government as to where you are. So I don't think that Honorable Parker will do much on this. They just came with a political vindictive mind to ensure that they be able to satisfy their political urge and not to satisfy what the Liberian people need. And this is why the hope and aspiration of Liberian people have been done by the United Party-led government. They are just there satisfying alliance. So I don't think they will succeed on this. So what we can do as Liberians, we just need to stand strong and ensure that we hold their feet to the fire and call on them to be able to do the right thing. If they cannot do the right thing, then we ask them to leave because we cannot continue to wait for 6 years because 6 years now, soon a year, that we'll continue to wait for election until we go to election before we able to correct the wrongs. We can be also able to practice against other democratic states that when the right thing is not happening, we call on our government officials and to leave, and we can be able to subsequently replace them of those people that will be able and willing to do the Liberian people work. Thank you very much for your opportunity.
Wonderful. Julius, will they come in?
Yeah, we got one caller here. Let me take one caller here real quick. Caller, go ahead. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, who you leave? This is Big Power. Are you hear me?
Go ahead, sir. We hearing you. Go ahead.
thank you so much for the show. You know, some of us, we're not surprised about what is happening back home. We know this thing was happening. I mean, Joseph Bala doesn't have a complete management skill. He doesn't have a own judgment skill. From day one, he cannot make decisions for himself. All those things that are happening, the World Cranko, the asset recovery, all those things that somebody playing, the job getting himself being a people playing. Could you imagine the president got in power? Even the secretary did not have control over it. You don't have a Solicitor General, NSA director. There is none there. All those agencies are not being correct in place yet. So you just going from one end and another to another. Recovery, declare asset. The own asset is not declared public yet. But all those things, just do it. You know, I still see there. The president will elaborate for.
No, the president already declared his asset though. Oh, he did not publish it. Okay. Okay.
So they play policy with a people, and they really connect to someone else because you said no. Those things I say, it can just be done in a 1 minute. You can't power. You want to rescue people. Those food, their bread, butter issue that is discussed that still you are not doing. You can't power. You're not doing nothing. The gas price is going up. No resolution. No nothing like sign any bill that since the president did this. I cancel this one. Nothing. It's just everything the president will like power. Those are the same things so running up. The press, the red space, they want that. Nothing that is still on. But you know we get this one. I do it one. I'll bring walk and go. All those people that see those things, they are so using politics in it. We see that it's me and not at the end of the day. We'll say the same issue discuss it, we'll kind of the same thing. They will not do nothing. They just put it in the same people, and at the end of the day, they will come and say, oh, because this thing, you know, it was not correct. You should have said the system first before you bring in this one. You don't have a system, the government is not running in a way that say budget after year, you don't discuss the budget. This one, talk about that one.
Thank you.
Pay the people that got too much and he pays the poor. You don't pay someone, you kill a rescue them, but you're not paying that too much. What kind of rescue is that?
I don't know. So break up power quickly before you leave. Let me get to a quick question in there. Somebody said CDC is out of headquarters right now. You guys are in the street.
We're getting feedback from somewhere. I don't know.
Somebody can you guys turn your there you go. I'm sorry. The question was CDC headquarters. You guys are in the streets right now. You've been evicted. What happened?
I think if you watch this, the president and the executive team, the executive committee, on the party, all the city hurricane was. We are not like that.
Oh, okay. So you guys are not evicted.
We're not evicted.
Okay.
But you know, we don't want to get a European case to just that one not in our party water yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right, Lofa, we gotta go back. Hey, all right, we've hit the 3-hour mark. So let's try to leave it as we go. We'll just get everybody go around 1 minute, have their thoughts on what we discussed today, and then we can kind of call it a day. So we'll start with you, Lofa. And you started. You want in?
No, actually, you know, it's fair. Let everybody else go out.
Yeah, let Duke start. We'll go that. Duke, you want to start?
Yeah, yes, guys. Another great show. I appreciate it. Thanks, Ben, for allowing me because I have to go soon. I think on this show we continue to present arguments that that come with substance. You cannot deny the level of expertise, the knowledge that's on the show, and I think we do our best in educating the Liberian people. To start off, I will say, look, there's been some missteps at the beginning of this government, but I can commend the president's effort because on those core issues that we've spoken about in terms of economic crime court, this is something we've been pushing for. He has come in courageous enough to take on this task, so I commend him. Asset recovery in terms of holding people accountable for corruption, I think it's a great step. I just think that it needs to be improved in terms of the quality of people who are involved. One thing that sickens me though is why is it those who support CDC and George Weah are a little bit antsy when it comes to accountability? We can have all of our concerns about witch hunt and what have you. It does not erase the fact that corruption is corruption. This president or the previous president was elected to change the lives of the Liberian people, to improve the economic conditions of the ordinary masses. Those acts of corruption before his eyes, including the 60 billion, the 25 million mop-up exercise, and those recurring corruption scandal took away from the Liberian people, the ordinary Liberian people. And those who have actually orchestrated economic crimes in our country, we need to hold them accountable. That's why we welcome this process, and we hope that proper accountability is actually given to our people. Less than 2 months, Ben, finally, the CDC has been kicked out of the headquarters. It tells you the level of incompetence. It tells you that these people are serious. Look, you can scream all you want. We will criticize the Unity Party. I'm going to hear tonight. We'll hold them accountable because we expect them to deliver. But we want accountability, and I think the president is going in the right direction. He just needs to bring the right people on board. I think the people in the way administration who stole, that needs to be held accountable. I think the president needs to answer to some of these things. And I don't think it is wrong to investigate and make sure we're coming up with the fact. I also believe there should be an extension in terms of how far we go. But for now, we commend the efforts, and we look forward to making sure that we can see some level of progress under this administration.
Thank you. Grace, you want to go ahead closer?
Thank you, Ben. Oh God. I know. Look, President Baka, I understand, because CDC hire people in a tenure position right before they left out of power. I understand you kind of pay for your government. And sometimes, we have to be able to say both sides. But at the same time, if you remove people from tenure position, you have to pay them for the time they were supposed to work for because of the security and the commitment, the long-term commitment that they signed on those jobs. And it take away from the Liberian people. It take away from them off. Let me say that. The people already suffering the country a lot. So I know that you're going through that, but you have to think on the bigger picture. And that's the reason why the people voted your rescue team and your train into power for these kind of things to change. People coming to power and doing the same old thing that they said they were not going to do when the other government were doing. It's not fair to the Liberian people at all. And I also want to say that Liberians, do not make Liberia a two-party state where you got to vote CDC or you got to vote UP. Now you see what is going on. You start looking into other parties. They got good Liberian will say good candidates that can help to bring Liberia to a new state that will be a new Liberia and a change Liberia. Voting CDC or UP into power is like you recycling, all battle thing. What we do here to get less 1 or 2 cents. You are now looking for the real actual change that Liberia is supposed to have, and you're doing it to your future generation of your lineage. You're doing it to the future generation of Liberians, the future generation of our leaders, and we who are going to retire, like maybe in the next how many years, and will be older. It will give us hard time to go and settle in, and you staying there, it will the same old thing over and over again. Then it means that, and as another committee said it, right? Doing the same thing over again, expecting different results are insanity. It's insanity. So you need to start to look now. I don't know for your 6 years how it will be like, because right now it's not looking clear. It's not looking clear. Yeah, it looks like you will not make it. So I just giving you that information. You need to think, because the next time you go to vote, you want to be a new Liberia direction to a change Liberia that will benefit you and your children. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Emmerich?
Yeah, thanks to everyone. I will just be brief over here. To remind Liberians we voted for change based on the level of experience that President Boycott has. So we're not going to sit here and always make the comparison with former President Weah, because we expect a huge difference between him, President Boycott, and the previous government. We don't expect marginal change. We expect something huge, big difference. Right now, it is disappointing, but I think some of the initiatives, they are all purposeful and they are all meaningful, that whenever they are done the right way, right, we'll start on a new path of recovery for a better future for Liberia. So I'll commend him in being bold, in some of the initiatives. I will commend him, and at the same time, this integration from one ministry or department to the other, I think it's something that someone of that level of experience, it should not be happening. And I hope he can recover from this to come back and look at some of the errors made, and be the bigger person in the room to say, I made mistakes. Life education is a learning curve that we all will go through forever. There's no end to it. So I think his first time being the president first time being a president. I think it's a learning curve for him. So looking back to, and I will urge other people that support him, even with his lieutenants, to the same mistakes we see, the reoccurrence of some of the same things of the past. When they get criticized, they are all on attacking, and attacking is not a good approach. Sometimes to take it in strides and see how you can use the criticism to improve on some of those things that we are criticizing. We all mean well. We are all Liberians. The election is over. Campaigning is over. We are one country, one people. It's time to put ideas together and see how we can move our country forward. And I say thank you for the opportunity tonight. A great show. I came in late, and I hope next time I'll be able to make it early.
Thank you. You're always welcome. Mr. Gonglo.
Well, thank you, Ben. Great show. Just like Duke, I'd like to restate for the records. We have always fought for change, a fundamental and radical change in this country. We expected the CDC as a mass-based political party to actually do the right thing. And I think the reason was CDC, most of the members are the people who are affected by bad policies of the Monrovia-based politicians. So they needed to come here and make a radical change, but they failed to do that. So what is happening today, I don't consider it as a change. I just see it like a payback. The CDC and the Unity Party, they are just in a horse race. That's all they do. Horse race to see who is more corrupt or who can undo the other person. That's all they're doing here. I don't see that as a change. And it's bad for this country. A country of more than 170 years. I think we are what, 76 years now? 176 years now? That's too bad. We're talking about things, what the president wants to do. If he means well, let him institutionalize asset recovery so that from government to government, that will be a standing office to recover assets stolen from government. Not only people who work in government can steal government money from government. Business people can steal. In fact, most of the money stolen from government come through business transaction, through procurement. So even who own private companies, you can go after them. So we need to have a standing office. That will be my request to President Boakai. Constitute the office of ombudsman under the code of conduct, so that even through all these public accountability issues, if somebody is dissatisfied, they don't necessarily have to rush to the court. They could go to the ombudsman and say, look, this process, we want you weigh in on this. I'm being unfairly treated here. Okay? That the president do that to show that this is meant, the meaning of the intent of this of his action is good for the country. Let him do that. And the other thing I want to talk about also in my closing is basically that, I mean, the 42 years experience we talk about, the 12 years experience as vice president, I think the government is proceeding, they're making so many common mistakes. Why? I believe that all those internal positions, they're going to go because that's what the president wants. Because that's exactly what the CDC did too. I think if the president wanted to look good and objective, go and prosecute those who violated the internal clause and convict them before you appoint people. If I were advisor to President Boakai, that's what I would have done. When the offices are vacated, then I move into a point. But now you are in a quagmire. You didn't do that. So people are fighting court action here and there. So it makes you look weak. You know, I mean, no leader should allow yourself to look weak in the eyes of the public.
Thank you, Mr. Gongo.
Mr. Vassos are listening.
Thank you. Lofa?
Thank you, Ben. I'm going to use this time to remind Liberians of the recent incident. But before I do that, let me say thanks to all of you guys. Great show today, very organized, and I appreciate, and I'm pretty sure our audience appreciate the level of how organized it was today. Um, Let me speak to what I want to speak to tonight in my closing. Appointment mistakes. One appointment made today, pull back, and then reappointed. An example of that would have been the issue of Emmanuel Goncourt, appointed to one position yesterday, now appointed to another position today. Does the president know what he's doing? I don't know. Asset declaration. The president, who's supposed to be the face of transparency, declared his asset, but did not publish his asset when this was something promised on the campaign trail, alongside Americana, who I'm hearing declare his assets, but is yet to publish it. And that information need to be confirmed. I certainly believe that American declared his asset, but it is being stated that he declared, but hid his asset declaration, so he kept it undercover. Lies on balance in the bank and how much the president met. I spoke to that 2 days ago. I said both parties lied about how much they met in the bank. The previous government said they left certain amount, and the incoming government said no, that was not the case. Look, in closing, we need a real government. We need a government that understands governance and will represent the people. We don't need a government that will succumb to the likes of corrupt Darius DeLon and other people who are simply in their selfish interests and are suggesting to the president who to appoint for key positions because they think that it makes them look good, because that person worked with them without taking into consideration what it entails, the level of professionalism needed. And this is why I see that a lot of the mistakes are coming in here. It's unfortunate that we're experiencing this as a nation, but again, I think the missteps will be corrected, and eventually we will put Liberia on the right trajectory to success and transformation, where the likes of Darius DeLon would not be considered for similar opportunity. Instead, the competent, they're ready to serve with the understanding that governance is service oriented, will no longer take advantage of the people, the level of gullibility in our society, and try to exploit it. And this is what the likes of Darius DeLon, Amara Conan, Yobli Kanga Lawrence, and other people continue to do in Liberia. But I'm very hopeful that with the faces I see on this panel here today, in other places, that we will definitely stand up. There are difficult times ahead, but I'm pretty sure Ben Sanvee will not give up on us. My sister Grace will not give up on us, and of course, Andrew and other people will not give up. That you all will be. Somebody, please mute yourself. Thank you. I'm pretty sure all of us will remain committed to the struggle. We will fight, and when I say the struggle, I'm not talking about standing up on Universal Liberia campus and chanting the battle cries, but I'm talking about committed to honestly fighting for a better Liberia, and I'm pretty sure we will get there someday with the level of professionalism and that is needed. So I mean, it was a great show tonight. Thank you all for being a part of the conversation. To all of our audience, thank you consistently for sharing the show and following on the various platforms. It was a great show. Thank you, Ben, for
thank you, Lofa. Thank you, and thank you to all of you who joined. I'm just going to be very short. I think we are presented again with another opportunity as a nation to start to lay some solid foundation, to start to build on some of the solid foundation that may exist currently in the country. I think the Unity Party government has started off to a very rocky start, but like Emmerich said, I think there is enough time. There is enough time left to hit the reset button. I will encourage the president to hit the reset button. I will encourage him to understand that he is governing a country in the 21st century. That some of the things that could fly under his predecessors can no longer fly today. Some of the mistakes and some of the mishaps, some of the things that we got away with, or Ellen got away with, or Taylor got away with, Joe Boyka is not going to be able to get away with it. And it's just going to cost him more political capital if he tries to do some of those things. And I don't think it's worthy of his time, of his legacy. I think he has an opportunity to be probably the most consequential and most effective president probably we've seen in our lifetime, because he can make a determination that, you know what, I'm just here to come and lay this foundation and to be this transitional figure so that I can have a solid footing, so that the person coming after me can have a solid footing. But with some of the decisions that I have seen him make, I'm a little afraid that this is not going to be business as usual. And the reason I say that is not because anybody is perfect. No president is going to be perfect. There will be mistakes. But for me, it's the ability to be able to identify those mistakes and to be able to make the pivot that you need to make so that your government can stand on that strong footing. On the issue of the politics in our country, I hear you, Grace, but sometimes I always say this: we can't plant pepper and expect okra. We are dealing with a society that we're literally reaping what we've sowed as a nation. For decades and decades, we did not invest in education in Liberia. So a lot of our people, all of us on this panel, right, including Ansu, right, probably had an opportunity to have a solid foundational educational structure in Liberia at some point in time. But there's a whole generation that is now emerging, that are now the reality. This is the reality we have to deal with. That there are people graduating from the University of Liberia who cannot write a paragraph. But you cannot tell them they're not educated because they have a college degree. So, Ellis Cummings said something to me one time. He said, Ben, you guys have to be practical in your approach when it comes to Liberia, because many Liberians don't know what good looks like. You can't squeeze water out of a rock. A man cannot aspire to something that he has no idea about. So some of the problems we have in our country are structural and they're fundamental. And it will require a leader who will be able to take that bold decision to say that I'm not thinking about the next election, but I'm thinking about the next generation, to be able to make the changes that we want to see in Liberia. It's not going to be a leader who sits and plots and try to figure out, how am I going to get reelected? Once you start that mindset, you have to compromise. War Crimes Court. I think we have an opportunity here. But as we take this opportunity, we also have to be cognizant that in all of what we've done as a nation, we are a very small society. And because we're a small society, we have used that as an excuse to accept the wrongs in our country. I always tell people, I say, they think they call let leave it. That what got Liberia in the problem in today. You let leave it. You let leave it. Even us, even the people who talk, we talk one thing today, in 3 days we forget about it, we're talking the other thing. Liberians don't know how to sustain advocacies. So as a result of that, our problems keep compounding and compounding and compounding, and they hit us in the face, and we act like we don't know where it comes from. So I just hope and pray. I'm a hopeful person. I believe that at the end of the day, that we will get it right. It may not be in our lifetime. It may be in our lifetime. It may be in our children's lifetime. But I believe that Liberia will get it right at some point. And we must all encourage whoever's president of the country today happens to be Joseph Boakai. We don't have another 6 years to waste. So we have to root for his success. We may not have supported him. We may not have voted for him, but he's our president now. So we have to root for his success, but we also have to hold him accountable. That's just how I see it. I think at the end of the day, let the president just do the right thing. Mr. President, you have a committee, this tenure thing, you do what you gotta do. Make your opponent shame. Make Kalabu Gonglo shame. Who say that you will fire everybody? Prove him wrong and say, you know what? I'm going to do it different. Not because the other person did it, so I'm going to do it. So at the end of the day, guys, I think it was a great and fascinating conversation. I want to thank all of you. Again, this is the beauty of what we do here. We all don't agree. We have a diverse mind. Nobody is controlled here. Nobody got their mind on remote control. We come here, we speak our mind. And that's one of the reasons. And again, I don't know if we had a cash out, because people didn't text me. You know, people didn't cash out story.
Yeah.
No,
but he's right. He's right.
That's true.
He's right. I forgot.
Y'all please support the closing argument. TC at TC. What is it? Money sign TCA 2005.
Right.
Dollar
sign TCA 2005.
Exactly. Please support. We want to keep doing it. We have a passion. I remember right after the election, I said I was done with talk show business. But there's just something about the country that we can't just shut up. We just can't shut up, right? But we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep pushing, and we're gonna keep doing what we gotta do.
Ben, do you mind? Can I use 30 seconds to just advocate for my friend and brother, man? Come on. I mean, with the recent list that just came up, I was hoping to really see Lobo on that list. This is not fair, bro.
Also take the show.
It's not fair. No, seriously, no. Especially for the asset, you know.
We got
man.
Can I say something? Monday when we come here, can we just take first 15 minutes to raise at least $1,000 for closing argument?
Oh, that's
we need to
you a leader.
In that process.
Yeah.
But if we don't get my brother Lobo name somewhere, I'm not.
Lobo is well placed.
We gotta have a disclosure. Are we taking money from Jamaica Resort though?
Lobo, my man, Duke, leave people your Jamaica Resorts.
Duke want to share.
Give 1 week notice.
I will let you not call you.
Any contribution from Jamaica Resort and stuff down there, please let us know.
I will let you not call you. I'm to take it over.
What does Ben know that we don't know?
Lobo haven't spoken to me like 8 years, man. I'm telling you.
Lobo is well placed, trust me.
You know,
I'm sorry, guys. Thank you.
Ben.
And so you muted. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Ben. Ben, I like you every time you say you call me, you don't call.
On Truth 96.1. So the invitation you also join us on Monday for a fresh edition of the program, the closing argument here on Truth 96.1. The time check on the clock, it is a minute up to 1 o'clock, so I have to go. My name is Ansu K. Salif. I've been around since 9:30 of yesterday. Here with you on the closing argument, along with the team from the UX. So on behalf of the entire team, do have yourself a wonderful night. Make sure you check your doors and your windows. Yeah, okay. Check your doors, your windows. Inspect the kitchen. Don't forget to leave fire on in the kitchen. Check your breakers. Check every place in the house before you sleep tonight. Enjoy your night. I'm out.